Welcome back to another edition of Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. We like to call it a freak flag, feel good, fake it till you make it. Ric Flair, woo! 512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. We got the full Monty, the full crew, and we got a lot to get into. Yes, the Celtics, they keep hope alive. They win Game 5, force a Game 6. We'll dive into it, break it all down, and hear from Jimmy, from Hemi. He's made a guarantee that they'll win Game 6. We'll talk about that. Also, Cowboys and Texans OTA updates. We'll give you some news, notes, and nuggets from that. Speaking of the NFL, big news in the NFL. We talked about it, previewed it earlier this week, but DeAndre Hopkins expected to be released. And then we got to discuss who's going to be in DeAndre Hopkins sweepstakes. We'll talk about it and get into it. Also, GM rankings in the NFL, head coach rankings, and QB rankings. We'll do it all of that and more. Before we do, let's introduce you to the rest of the crew. He was a second-round pick for the Montreal Expos, but a first-round pick for the Austin Radio Network. He originally committed to the University of Texas, but decided to forego the 40 acres, had to chase his dream in the cheese. Pimping ain't easy, but for this man, it's a breeze. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Hardball Harge. What's up, brother?
It's a 512 Friday, baby. We are here. We got the weekend off. We got Monday off, Memorial Day. Thank you for everyone that has fought for our service, that has done everything. I'm born and raised on Fort Hood, Texas. My grandfather was in the military. God rest his soul. But thank you for everyone that has given us the right to be able to celebrate and have that day off from work. But let me talk about my man that sits across from me every single day. He hails from H-Town with the Get Down. He's a lifetime Longhorn and a proud card-carrying member of DBU. Legendary lifetime and now college football Hall of Fame Longhorn Derek Johnson said he was the best cover corner he had ever seen. He's a former NFL DB that still has that passion for film study, but he's not a fan of white condiments. But, of course, he is a fan of you, the listeners. He is my man and yours, Rod Bates.
I appreciate the intro, as always. Let's not waste any time introducing the real MVP, one of the hardest-working members of the ARN family. He's got a hustler spirit, period. We don't know what he's paid, but we're pretty damn sure that the man is underpaid. It is Patrick Davis, y'all. He also celebrated a birthday yesterday. How was the B-Day celebration?
It was good. It was good. I had to watch out. A little bit. I went in, and it was pretty quick with everybody buying me shots, so you had to watch out a little bit.
You got to realize.
I thought you was talking about the movie Watch Out.
No, he means he might be a grown man.
That's
right.
An adult. I'll give a shout out to Wes and Bar Come and Take It Live, because I went over there, and so I'm like 2-3 shots in, and he's like, all right, where are we going tonight? I'm like, dude, I had to drive here, so we gotta be responsible about it. He's like, okay.
That's right.
He's like, because the bar's gonna buy you some, and people keep buying. He's like, I just gotta pace it out for you a little bit. I'm like,
can y'all catch me tomorrow night? Can y'all catch me tomorrow night?
That's good. That's adulting, man. I like it.
That's right.
Yeah, grown.
Welcome to the grown man status.
Grown folk stuff. Ain't no doubt about that. All right. Well, happy B-Day again, of course, for my man Patrick, who celebrated yesterday. If you missed that, you can give him a birthday shout out. Specs Text Line's the best way to do it. 512-337-3776. You also can hit us up via Twitter in the Twitterverse. My man Harge is at Hardball Harge in the Twitterverse. Patrick Davis at It's Patrick Davis, and I'm at Rod Babers in the Twitterverse. All right, we got NBA discussion to get to here, gentlemen. The Celtics, they did it. They did the damn thing. They made it a series again. After being down 3-0, now it is officially a series again. Now they've tied it they made the series 3-2, looking to tie it in Game 6, of course. Just the 15th team in NBA history that has forced a Game 6 after trailing 3-0 and essentially controlled the game the entire game. They never trailed, and they led by at least 15 points for the entire second half until those garbage buckets late down the stretch in the fourth quarter. But other than that, man, the Celtics came out here on a mission. And the mission was to keep hope alive and extend this series. Backs up against the wall. And that's exactly what they did. They won 110-97. Can I get a little factoid before we drop into this?
Come on.
Dive into it. This is freaky, man. So the Heat and the Celtics have played each other in 3 of the past 4 Eastern Conference Finals, right? The Celtics have won each Game 5 by exactly 13 points.
They've won each Game 5 by 13 points? Is that what you just said?
Wow. Yes. Guys, I will repeat. The Heat and the Celtics have played each other in 3 of the past 4 Eastern Conference Finals, and the Celtics have won every Game 5 by exactly 13 points.
Well, At least you know.
Isn't that crazy?
Game 5, what number to take?
121, 108, 93 to 80, and 110 to 97.
Wow. That is a freaky stat.
Isn't that freaky?
That is a freaky stat.
No, freakier stat. The Heat have won Game 6 in all of those. Well, in the previous, I should say.
Maybe that's
in
why.
The previous two.
Maybe that's why Jimmy feels so confident about the victory.
Yeah, in the
because he
previous
might
two.
have known.
Yeah, but that's isn't that crazy?
That is a crazy
What the
stat.
hell is that? That's wild.
When that line last night was 8.5, by the way.
Yeah.
So, and what I can remember before we left, I kept saying, why are they favored by 8.5? And you said desperation.
They're desperate, man.
They were a desperate basketball team, and they played like their hair was on fire. They came out, they went right after them, and they made things happen. When you finish the first quarter up by 15, when you go there and you're up by 15, and it looks like the other team just isn't moving as fast as you, that was a big step for them to be able to put their foot on their throat and be able to push the lead a little bit more. You know, they were up by 15 and left by 17. So you sit there and you look at it, and you're like, man, this is a big move by these guys. But it was an important move for what they were up against.
No, it was. And once again, you know, we talked about it yesterday, but three-point shooting was a big reason why the Celtics were able to win Game 4. They shot 40%, were 18 to 45. In this game, once again, over 40%. And that's been the real key in the series. We talked about it yesterday as well. The first 3 games of the series, the Miami Heat were shooting a ridiculous 47% from three-point range, and they have cooled off significantly. Like I said yesterday, there's no way they were going to be able to sustain that. They have not sustained that, and it's now kind of swung the series. So three-point shooting being a big issue in this series, or at least a big factor, I should say, more or less, in this series. And now Celtics, they are basically now 38-2 when they shoot at least 40% from three-point range.
And it's so funny because the shooting percentage was 41% for Boston and 39% for Miami. But the fact of the matter was they took more. They were 16 of 39, and Miami was 9 of 23. So it's more about, okay, how many more shots can we get up? If you get 16 more shots up, there's a difference in a ball game right there. But they weren't getting second chance shots either. There was another part of it. When they missed, and they never got another chance to tip the ball out where they can get another extra pass. They weren't being able to do that. Boston, to your point yesterday, Rod, you said was a desperate basketball team, and that's exactly how they played. They went in and they did their job, and we talked about it yesterday. That Robert Williams being on that court makes a huge difference every time he's out there.
Yeah, also something that was big was the kind of the live ball turnovers. I think the Celtics they forced 16 total turnovers. At least I should say the Miami Heat had 16 total turnovers, but 13 of those, and they had 9 in the second half, by the way. 13 of those were live ball turnovers. That's the second most they've had in a game this season. Usually that's associated with transition buckets and being able to get out in transition. The Celtics, just to give you a little number, prior to Game 5, they were minus 14 in live ball turnovers.
Yep.
In the first 4 games of the series. So a lot of things have just flipped. Three-point shooting is flipped. The live ball turnovers is flipped. Shows you that the Celtics have really increased their intensity, and they're engaged now, both ends of the floor, a little bit differently. And they're confident.
Yeah.
This shows you how confident they are. Jaylen Brown, we have the sound of Jaylen Brown. This is in the post game. It's brief, but it just shows you kind of how the Celtics are feeling now that they've made this a real series and it's 3-2. Here's Jaylen Brown in the postgame.
Tonight we were the tougher playing team. We set this on from start to finish, and we had a great team win. We hit shots, and they let us get 2. So don't let us get another one.
Yeah, they let us get 2. Don't let us get another one. Because then it's their series. They believe it's their series. Right now, all the momentum is on Boston's side, and they believe it's their series. You guys have remarked about how cocky and confident they were when they made it 3-1.
Right.
It was like, why y'all, get engaged in the crowd and talking, smack to the crowd.
Out.
Like y'all know something.
Yeah.
Maybe as a team, they did know something.
Yeah, they knew something for those 2 games.
Momentum's on their side.
Yeah.
Momentum's on their side. Grant Williams was in the post game too. And this is actually pretty funny because while he's speaking in the postgame, this actually it's not that great. It's not that insightful or anything, but I just thought it was funny because in the postgame, he's speaking to a reporter and Jaylen Brown and Al Horford walk by him and they, usually give a celebratory, just kind of smack on the butt, boom, all right. And that's all right. You don't do it to be aggressive, all right. You can hear how hard they slap him on the rear end, and he says ouch the second time. The first time he kind of
he says ouch the first time. The second time he has to stop himself from cussing.
yeah, play the audio.
We heard some Celtics and 7 chants as well. What was the energy like in the building?
The energy was tremendous. We got to do our job to make sure we get it back here. That's number one goal. Take care of the next game, one game at a time. We can't look too far ahead. Ouch. And make sure that we got. Good job, Grant. We got to make sure we take this one game at a time and make sure that we just make sure we stay together, honestly.
Get some work on that. Thank you, Grant. Congratulations.
I thought she was going to say, go ice it.
Oh, man.
Because they were smacking him.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be, honestly, it's not, when you, no joke about this, because guys, I still don't know where the butt slap comes from in sports, but it is a thing.
Yep.
And I've seen it in male and female sports. I've seen women do it. I mean, it's a thing. And
Yep.
I've seen it more in male sports, not in women's sports, but I've seen it in both. And I don't know why it's still something that has been able to be transcend through time, but I don't know when and where it started. That would be a great deep dive for some 30 for 30. I want to know
the
where
biggest story is it ain't ended.
it ain't going nowhere. No, the younger generations have still embraced. How we gonna slap it? And it's so weird because, like I said, I remember having a good game and getting slapped on the butt a lot, and I'm like, I'm sorry.
I think it's fun.
And I've done it too.
Yes, because you've done it. You're messing with people.
I don't know why I've done it. I shouldn't be doing it.
Oh, it's natural. It's part of the group thing.
Why
I know
is it natural?
sometimes you look at it and you're like, all right, man, that's cool. Way to go, man. Boom. And then you just keep it moving. But then there's some you're like, oh, he's on video right now. I'm about to light him up.
I know, but it is a weird thing now to be a married man and do it often to my wife, as she is also.
Way to go, girl.
Yeah.
Way to show up, man.
Good job with that laundry.
Hey, good job.
That encouragement's still there. I'm like,
Love the way you cut that grass, girl. Boom.
That's why now I'm having a tough time trying to reconcile. It's just weird because I still do it, but now I just do it to my wife. She's my teammate.
Yep, she is.
It is.
She's your captain.
I mean, it seems like it's one of those things where it's like, what's the way I can, if they're not volunteering for a high five or something like, so it's a one-way
It is.
pat.
You're right.
Where can I pat them that's not more awkward than that? But you're like, nowhere on the front. No front patting.
Like the stomach or the chest. That's not,
So it's like, you're like, all right, well, I guess lower back's weirder somehow than that. I don't know. I think it just ends up that it was just like, look, that's where my hand is. This was going to happen.
Oh, man. I'm saying it'd be, like I said, somebody do the history, the history deep dive on the rabbit hole down it. Because I have no idea where it came from, but it hadn't gone away. I thought it was like an old school thing, but now it's still
that second smack for him, he raises up. Like if you watch the video, he literally goes up.
Yeah,
like
get on them
6
tippy
inches.
toes. You get that tippy toe slap.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's that tippy toe one.
It was extremely aggressive.
Yeah.
So I guess
That's what happens when you're in Boston too long, too.
It was all in love, though. I mean, it's all like, hey, man, it's celebratory stuff. You did a great job. Let me show you how much I appreciate you by giving you a nice slap on the butt. Get that
flamethrower.
As I've seen it in almost every sport too. Like it has transcended all sports, and it doesn't matter male or female, and still all through time, it's got to be damn near going on 70, 80 years as a butt slap. You got to be.
Yeah, because it's
that
not
thing was
something
going on. It was doing it in the 60s.
Yeah, they weren't even thinking about it back then.
Who's the first one? We got to find this out. I would like to know.
I like that. Pose that question.
I want to know.
Where did it start at?
Where did it start? Do we have film?
I mean, we know Dusty Baker's at near the beginning of the high five.
He was part of that. Yes,
so
Dusty
we need
did
to ask
say
Dusty
that.
Baker what a butt slapping in his when he first got to the big show.
Well, everybody was kind of tough guys then. They were like,
That's
no,
what I'm saying.
you can't
When
do
did
that.
it exactly? But
Yeah.
I think they were doing it ironically.
Yeah.
And just like Jimmy Butler, he ironically started loving country music because he used it to taunt his teammates and troll them, and then said, "You know what? This is damn good music. Actually, this is fantastic."
It is outstanding
All
music.
right,
It is.
Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, Tommy Thompson.
Tommy Thompson.
And my best friend Bo.
So maybe that's where it started. They were like these kind of. They were really being kind of ultra masculine. All
Yep.
right,
Yep.
probably borderline misogynistic, and then they decided, ironically, they were going to do it, and it caught on.
Great point.
I want to know the first team that did it. I would love to know the first
great-
team that decided we butt slapping and winning the mail. We for the most part we're now becoming progressive enough where homophobia is not like rampant.
Right.
But at one point it was. We must admit in our society. All right, in some places it still is.
Very true.
And
Very
we,
true.
and we decided we was just gonna butt slap back in the 50s and when did it start? When did it start?
According to a quick Google search, it's saying around 1973.
That's when the butt slap started.
That is what they're saying.
Oh.
On a quick Google
so
search.
they're saying 50 years of the butt slap.
Yeah.
Do they say the first?
They said it was Penn State. The Penn State football team.
No. Oh,
Take my
no.
headset off, man. I'm
That's
done
not
for
true.
the
That
day.
is not
I'm
true.
out of here.
That
wasn't
is
there.
not
I
true.
am done
They
for
said
the
it was a Penn
day.
State football team.
No way.
They are. That is no. That is some. Is that Wikipedia?
It's on Google.
I'm thinking somebody trolling, man. That's not. No.
That cannot be
That's
true,
no.
man.
I will refuse to believe that is also around the time that I believe the beginning of the
Yeah.
the scandal that we will not discuss because it's so disgusting. Wow.
I cannot believe that.
Are you now? I feel
Now-
bad for bringing up the subject.
Yeah, I'm sitting here now. I'm like,
Oh,
I'm already
man.
over this conversation.
I cannot believe that my mind is blown and not in a good
Let's go
way.
back to Dusty Baker with the high
Please
five.
go back to Dusty
Let's
Baker.
go back with it.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
I cannot believe that.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
Yeah. That is a quick Google search will tell you. But
For the first time, I wish you had not Googled that.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Because since we're on the subject, one of my final 5 schools was Penn State.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember this at all. My father claims that I spoke with Sandusky.
That wouldn't surprise me.
I don't really remember this. You said he remembers.
You probably don't remember
I think
because
he was like the DC around that time, so it doesn't make sense. And maybe I just blocked it out.
I
But
think
they
you-
were one of my final 5 schools. So I did speak with people.
How was your trip to Happy Valley?
Listen, let's not discuss any of this.
State College.
No, no.
I've been there.
I
I played in the Eastern League, so we were around Penn State quite a bit.
I actually never made up there, thank the Lord.
Okay.
Yes. That was not. I dismissed them from the list before I made it up there.
Okay.
I took 4 of my visits, but not that one.
Okay.
See?
See
But-
that? Divine intervention.
My,
Divine intervention, dog.
of course it was
Yeah,
Penn State.
of course.
Someone said they thought Patrick was making a joke, and I guess they looked at him.
yeah, no.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
By the way, I just said 1973 for a reason, but I'm not a liar. So when you asked, I was like, yeah, I don't need to. I'll leave this part out that I said that where it said it was from.
Oh,
I know.
I can't believe. I apologize. I did not know where that was going, guys. I
That's-
just opened.
Wow.
I pulled that. We pulled that clip, and then I went down that. But I should have Googled it before, so I could
Good
have
Lord.
nixed that as a topic. On the
Yeah.
show.
Hey, well, it's good to know that we're never doing that again, are we?
Never. No. And I good to know. That's why nobody has discussed that because they probably Google it.
They
go,
probably
"All
Googled
right,
it and it was like,
That's a
nah, this ain't
non-starter."
gonna work for me today.
we not
This
talking.
is
no.
not gonna be it.
That's where it started. Oh no, we can't. No. Oh wow, that might get
Yeah.
canceled. If people actually know where it started, they might cancel the butt slap.
Yeah.
We might never see it again in this cancel culture era if they know where it came from, where it originated.
My goodness.
Wow. Can we just hear from Jimmy Butler to cleanse our palate?
Please. Let's start
anew.
over.
Oh man. Okay. See, bad taste in my mouth. Okay, so Jimmy Butler in the post game, he was asked about the performance of the Miami Heat the last 2 games, of course, because they were up 3-0 now. We have a series that is 3-2. Here is Jimmy Butler calling his shot Babe Ruth style. All right, guys. That's my man Jimmy Hemi saying
Hemi.
they will win Game 6. They
Okay.
will win Game 6.
All right. I mean, I need you to because I'm sitting here talking about y'all. Y'all are the ones that are going to beat them, and here we are going another game. I thought this was going to be a sweep. This should have been a sweep. But, Rod, you brought up all the numbers yesterday and how it breaks down and how you sit there and you say all the numbers state that Boston should be winning this series. This series should be over Boston style.
Yeah.
So is this the time for them to, boom, get to that point where they're starting to get hot? They have to be hot to get to the next round, but is this one of those moments where it's like, all right, we can go on a run and win, 8 games in a row?
I mean, they're great in elimination games,
Yes.
right? I believe Boston.
So every game is an elimination now.
Yeah, this offseason they're 4-0. Sorry, this offseason, this postseason.
Yeah.
They're 4-0 in elimination games. They've been great with their backs up against the wall. And yeah, I mean, it hasn't been a lot of teams in NBA history that have been down 0-3 and been able to force even a Game 6, which they are in right now about to do. So it's right now. I think all the momentum is on Boston's side. And if Jimmy guarantees a win, I am inclined to agree with Jimmy. If Jimmy's how often does Jimmy guarantee playoff? Jimmy guarantee wins. He talks a lot of trash and smack. He guaranteed it twice.
He did.
Yeah.
He said we will win Game 6.
He's in there like Joe Namath. He's letting you know it's time to go. And the fact, too, they're back. Are they back in Miami right now? Yeah. That's why. He wants everybody there. It's the weekend, Memorial Weekend. They know that there's going to be a party going on. Come on down here. We're about to get this dub and tear this whole place up.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see because Boston's got all the momentum, but like I said, Jimmy seems determined. Playoff Jimmy seems determined, and I don't know if you want to pick against playoff Jimmy when he sees guaranteeing wins.
That's the
I'm going to stick with Jimmy Butler on this one. They should have already closed the door on this Celtics team.
Agreed.
They've given him life now, but and Jimmy Butler he had I don't say it's a bad game, but for
He didn't have
Jimmy
his best
Butler,
game,
he was 5 of 10.
Yep.
14 points.
Fourth quarter, he set out a lot.
That's true because the game was out of hand. He actually was averaging 18 isolation possessions per game in the first 4 games, and in this game he ended up with just 3 isolation plays.
And his plus minus was minus 24.
Yeah, he was not being aggressive.
He was not being aggressive. And that's the difference, right? We were talking about the other night how Jason Tatum decided, I'm about to get to the rim as much as I possibly can. I'm about to be aggressive. He has some spectacular dunk plays. But then you look at what Jaylen Brown was able to bring to the table. Derek White showed up. That's the other part of it. Derek White showed up for them. Yes, he was a huge part of their success yesterday, and even Marcus Smart. So you look at who was the top go-getters, it was 2 dudes that normally aren't the guys that you lean on to be your heavy lifters. They were it last night. They got the complimentary pieces from, it sounds funny, but complimentary pieces from Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, both of them with 21 points each. But you look at what Marcus Smart and Derek White, those were the 2 factors.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But I can't wait for the game this weekend. Oh man, you're talking about now drama.
Yep.
That is great. And you're the NBA, Jimmy Butler, and and his theatrics, and looking at Boston now with their comeback so far to make it a 3-2 series. They've saved the conference finals for the NBA.
Yeah,
because that Western Conference Finals was a dud. That was a dud, man. It was terrible. And now because
we had moments though.
Yeah, we had moments, but the Nuggets. Yeah, you're right. They were competitive games, but a sweep is a sweep.
Yeah,
that's not good. That's not good for the NBA. They need some drama. They need.
It is funny because there's not really been that many. Has there been any competitive games in this series? So there's not any games that you go, man, that was a great game.
Not really.
But at least there's now competition. Whereas there was 3 good games in the Denver Lakers series, they just all went to Denver.
That's a great point. You're right. This is a better series, but those
was
were
better
games.
Yeah.
That's fair. I agree with that. Okay, let's go to the break. We'll get to some Cowboys and Texans OTA updates coming up next segment for the Cowboys. Got a bunch of different stories that I want to get to, so we'll do kind of a scatter shooting thing with the Cowboys. But with the Texans, there's one topic and one report that I want to get to from the Texans. We'll get to that as well. All of that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. We all know Austin is a beautiful city. The aesthetic appeal is undeniable, and thanks in no small part to the skilled craftsmanship of Ironworkers Local 482. You can see the labors of their love all over this great city and iconic landmarks like DKR Stadium and the Pennybacker Bridge. And as the city continues to grow and thrive, so does Ironworkers Local Union 482. They've been helping shape this great city since 1935. That's a really long time. And the Ironworkers Local 482 don't go to the office, they build it. So if you're looking for an exciting new career, you want something fresh, you want something that will challenge you, something new, how about becoming a valued member of the Ironworkers Local Union 482 team, and you can accept the challenge of becoming the best version of yourself while helping shape our city's economic development. Right now, they're hiring over 3,000 people for a huge project right here in Central Texas, and you can become a member of Ironworkers Local 482 and take pride in the type of teamwork and craftsmanship that helps shape the future of our great city. So maximize your potential and be your best self today. Simply apply at ironworkers482.org. That's ironworkers482.org. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. 512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie. That's my man Patrick. Plays jams from local bands and artists, very talented human beings that you have a chance to catch live right here in the ATX. Who we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is Hector Ward and the Big Time. They are playing tonight at Saxon Pub.
I like that. All right, I used to say live music capital of the world, and then I learned that Patrick does not like that.
It's not that I dislike it. There's musicians that really dislike it.
Okay, but
There are some people that really dislike
Yeah,
it.
so-
But yeah, it was never a phrase that musicians were like, we're that.
they embraced it.
Yeah, it was always more of like, you say that in spite of giving it, like, you don't want to give us money. And you're like, no, we're helping you out because you're at the live music capital. Can you play for free?
Yeah.
Like, dude.
That's why it's a live music capital. Everybody play for free.
No.
No, I agree on that. So if it's 512 Friday, I don't want to disrespect some of the artists. So we'll just say the ATX. No doubt about it.
I can say it's some of the greatest live music you will see in the world. But that does not make it the live music. It doesn't have a cool tagline.
Yeah,
The cool
that's true.
tagline.
The other one that kind of flows, kind of, you know what I mean?
does.
It just kind of rolls off the tongue there. All right, let's get into some Cowboys and Texans OTA updates here. All right, so let's start with the Texans because there's only one story that I want to bring up with the Texans, and I got it from their beat reporter John Crumpler. He does a really good job. So he claims that C.J. Stroud is the only first-round quarterback taking snaps with the twos in OTAs. He hasn't taken any snaps with the ones at all. He said we'll see how long that lasts, but yeah, I mean, all the other quarterbacks have at least split some time, and they've had some time with the ones.
I don't look too much into it.
Okay.
I'm not gonna beat it up or say that this means one thing or the other. We knew that Davis Mills coming into it was probably going to be the heir apparent for right now until C.J. Stroud can go in there and get his work in. Just because it's in OTAs don't mean it's going to be like that when the season starts.
Yes,
So,
of course.
Yeah,
Yes.
so
But why not
I don't
start-
read
why-
too
why-
much into it.
I know, but the other quarterbacks are already splitting time with the ones. Why not?
Let
them do it.
They might have been way worse, a lot of them. Because if you think about some of the other ones, I think Anthony Richardson, I know he's splitting time right now, but he may not even be the starting quarterback.
I know, but it seems that, and maybe because they're offensive coaches, could it be that? You got DeMeco Ryans, who's a defensive coach, who's deciding
Absolutely.
everybody on my squad will have to earn everything, and he has more of a defensive approach, whereas the other coaches are offensive coaches, so they're offensive-minded, and they want to build a team and build a roster and build a system around a quarterback, whereas DeMeco Ryans is just trying to build a team.
Yeah, he's trying to build his
I'm
entire
trying to build a team. So
culture. He's trying
everybody's
to
got
let
to
the
earn
mess.
everything. Everybody's got to earn it. It's all about meritocracy. So the best man for the job, who earns the job, will get the job. And so I'm not saying that one way is better than the other, but I do think it's a distinction between a defensive-minded coach trying to build a team and trying to construct a new culture, and the offensive-minded coaches who are like, no, this is all about the quarterback. The we will start with the quarterback and build around that. And DeMeco Ryans is like, no, we will start with principles and then we will build around those. Quarterback, get in where you fit in, which these days is kind of risky, actually.
It is. It is. Just, and I had this conversation about points just today, and somebody was talking about the fact that they were like, well, you got to make sure that you have this or you have that. No, people are scoring points. Defense does win championships, but you have to score to win.
Mm-hmm.
So however you're going to do that is whatever it's going to be. But that is a huge move. And for DeMeco Ryans, he's building culture now. So he's, like you said, he's coming in there and letting everybody know, yeah, we're going to work hard. We're going to earn it. Hey, you're our guy eventually, but take it from him. Don't walk in thinking you're going to be our starting guy. Take it. Make us take notice and say, you know what? He needs to be working with the first team. Maybe they're helping him with the second team. He's going with the second team and going against that first team defense where it's becoming a little bit faster for him. So there could be a lot of things that play into that part of it. Because like you said, DeMeco seems to be like an old school coach.
He is. I think, and this is why I could argue devil's advocate on the side of DeMeco Ryans. The truth is, you don't know if C.J. Stroud's going to be the guy.
Right.
So to build a culture around a player and to build a team around a player who you don't know is going to be, the franchise quarterback of the face of the team, that could be ill-advised.
Yeah.
That could be counterproductive if he turns out to be a dud, which, hey, it happens. 50% of the time with those quarterbacks, pretty much a coin toss in the first round.
Yep.
And so he's trying. Maybe you can argue he's trying to build a culture from the ground up, more in an old school way that isn't so dependent and isn't so centric around the quarterback. Because if he does that, then they can have success in spite of the quarterback.
Yeah.
And if he is a dud, you know what? Hey, man, that's all right. We got a Case Keenum who's been a star in this league, who's won some games. Hey, we can go out there and win some damn games with Case Keenum.
For sure.
Because we got a good culture, and we built the roster not around C.J. Stroud. We built it around certain principles, certain core principles.
Right.
So I could argue either side. There are plenty of ways to skin a catfish, as we know.
There we go. Make sure you put that out there.
Exactly. So I'm not opposed to it. I'm just making the distinction, just throwing observations, pretty much. Okay, so that's the Texans update. Cowboys OTA updates. There are a bunch of them. So the first team offensive line without Zach Martin, because he's a Hall of Famer, so they don't even need to see Zach Martin in basic OTAs such as this. So the first team on line was Tyron Smith at right tackle, Josh Ball at right guard, Tyler Biadasz at center, Matthew Forniuk at left guard, and Tyler Smith at left tackle. They're talking about put their best 5 offensive line on the field. Their best 5 offensive linemen, it includes Zach Martin, Tyler Smith, Tyron Smith, and Terrence Steele, I'm sure, will be thrown in there
Terrence
too.
Steele needs to be in there because I think he's earned that. I think Terrence Steele has earned the right to have that opportunity until somebody takes it away from him.
Oh, no doubt. And I think he did. I think it's an injury thing or something like that as to why what's happening here. But I think you're gonna have Tyron Smith, Tyler Smith, Terrence Steele, Biadasz, of course, and Zach Martin. I think that's your best 5. Now, where do they all fit? Tyler Smith will probably end up going to guard if you want Tyron Smith out there.
Right.
Or Terrence Steele out there. So it depends on what you want and what your, different combination is. I think that's your best 5, though.
I would agree with that. And, you talked about Zach Martin. He's Hall of Fame all day, every day, and twice on every Sunday. You sit there and look at Tyler Smith, most importantly, Tyron Smith, because his health is going to be the biggest part of it. Yeah. How are they going to work him back into it? He made some adjustments, did some different things as he came back. But when you start to really, really break it all down and seeing what is going to be the most productive lineup, I think you definitely have to have Terrence Steele. And I can't believe I'm saying that from a guy that was undrafted. But he came in and worked, and he did what he needed to do. And the rumor has it you can't lose your job from injury.
What?
But you can make it stressful.
I don't know if that's real anymore. That's not the case anymore.
A lot of people still live by that code.
That's too old school, man.
Yeah, I agree.
People lose their job all the time because of injury. It's just why. Hey, that's just the football gods.
Yeah.
If the guy in front of you is more productive, go look at Trey Lance or hell Jimmy Garoppolo before.
Right now, Brock Purdy's about to go through it now.
Exactly.
Is he going to get his job back though?
Yeah.
They said he's going to be the one to if when he comes back, they look at him as their starting quarterback.
It happens to everybody. You get hurt, your job's on the line. Sorry, that's just that's the nature of
for
the
the record. For the record, Trey Lance.
Mm-hmm.
So one of them is going to lose their job due to injury because Trey Lance lost a job due to injury.
Exactly.
Right.
So he was going to be the starter until he got hurt.
Yeah,
Right.
And then so now that he's healthy, technically, if we're going by that, he is the starter again because Brock Purdy was replacing him.
I know exactly. That rule applies. We never see Tom Brady the GOAT.
Yeah.
Because Drew Bledsoe would have got his job back. Like,
That would have been the worst.
He tried.
Exactly.
He
Drew,
tried.
You ain't getting your job back, Drew. Sorry, Drew.
Drew
You
said,
gotta
I'm
go
going
somewhere,
elsewhere.
Drew.
I'm going elsewhere.
Good for you, Drew. Go elsewhere.
I'm
You
gonna
ain't getting
go-
your job. Brett Favre, too. Remember Matchkowski? Was a quarterback.
yeah.
I'm going to go to Dallas, but if I get hurt there won't be anybody to take over, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Tony Romo.
Dak Prescott too. It's what I'm saying. So it's honestly I don't know if that. You're right. Some people maybe they're so old school they still stick by that, and good for them. But most of the coaches I know, I lost my job. So I never had a job because of injury. Nobody lost a job. I never had a job. I never had a starting job or anything like that.
Right.
But I'm just saying I lost jobs actually as on teams because I couldn't stay healthy. It's a big part of it.
It definitely is a big part of it.
Okay, getting back to the Cowboys here. No Trevon Diggs out there, so I'm sure that they got some reason for it, but they haven't discussed it. It's not anything serious or anything like that. Some of these guys just aren't out there because his OTAs is not that serious yet. They don't need to see much from them. Nashawn Wright was opposite of Stephon Gilmore, and Deron Bland was in the slot. How about this? Kelvin Joseph, boss man Fats,
Nickel.
working nickel and safety.
Yeah.
According to Bobby Belt.
I'm just trying to get out there, Coach. Whatever you need from me, I got to figure out a way.
And-
And they are, too, trying to figure out a way because of the fact that they gave him money because they drafted him high.
Second round.
They need to make sure we're going to give ourselves – we talked about this yesterday. High draft pick, you're going to get every opportunity until we just exhaust every bit of it. And that's where he's at right now. Okay, we've used you on special teams. You got forced into action before, and it didn't go well for you. Then we put you in another spot, and it's still not looking good for you. This is it for you, buddy. We're going to give you one more shot at it. We're going to try to find another spot for you. If this doesn't work out for you, go back to rapping.
Go back to rapping. Yeah, I mean, I hope he didn't. Hopefully, he didn't give up rapping. Yeah. Bossman Fats.
Yeah.
So I like that nickname as a rapper.
He needs to do a duet, cameo. Let's do a cameo, not a duet, with Dame Dillard. Dame Lillard.
I think.
Oh no, he needs to be on the Jimmy Butler country album.
That might be true too, because he is a cowboy.
I'm not gonna lie. I never liked the country hip hop crossover collabos.
Not a Cowboy Troy fan.
I was going to say Cowboy
No.
Troy. That's what
You know
it is.
Cowboy
No.
Troy. You know
Coming
Cowboy
to
Troy
your
went to UT, right?
city.
I don't mind them fusing.
I think he was here with Rod.
I don't mind.
They was around that time, yeah.
Yeah,
you
I
might be
thought
right
so.
about that. I don't mind them fusing the genres. I just don't like when a hip hop artist and a country artist do a song together. Every now and then it works, but Nelly's been doing
I was
this
going to
for
say,
years
Nelly's been
too.
doing it for a while.
LL Cool J did it as well too. I think "Accidental Racism" was the song.
Yeah.
Accidental Racist.
Yeah.
It's a terrible song.
Yeah,
It's one of my favorite. I listen to it all the time,
I don't like
especially
that.
when I'm driving.
I'd like the fusion more than anything. But yeah, you're totally right, Harge. I mean, they basically, because they drafted him so high, if you're a Cowboys exec and Will McClay, you're thinking, man, this makes me look really bad. if we get nothing in return on that investment. That we
Right.
draft this guy real high in the second round and then basically gave you no solid reps as a starter ever, was unreliable even as a backup. Couldn't contribute on special teams really, and then you end up having to cut him out of nowhere just because, you know what, he's a waste of a roster spot. We're just wasting a spot on him. Forget the money. We're wasting a roster spot on this guy.
Ding, ding.
So I think that's why, no, can you add depth at the nickel slot or can you add depth at safety? That would be much better than just cutting him because it makes
And they trying to change the rules right now about special teams. So now you're even more limited on him.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it. You're right.
Yeah.
You're less valuable than you were before.
Exactly.
So I think honestly, I wonder if he'll make the roster.
That's why they're giving him
I
every
really
opportunity.
do. Now I really wonder if he'll make the roster, guys. Because we got to go
That
look
was
at all
my-
the DBs they have. But
That was my original thought. I didn't know if he was going to make it through this past season, because of the fact that he was not playing at a very high level at all.
yeah,
Every opportunity he had was not a good look all around. So that's why I was kind of like, wait a minute, what's going to be able to happen now?
no, I'm with you. We'll have to dive into that. We got plenty of time, but that's an interesting conversation out there, moving him around a little bit. All right, last little nugget here from Cowboys OTA updates. Linebacker pairings. First linebacker pairing, Leighton Vander Esch and Damone Clark. Then Jabril Cox and Malik Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
Some love there. They said,
Malik.
and Michael Parsons did take some snaps at off-ball linebacker, doing some of the drills and walkthroughs. So
I am shocked.
he's not totally, emancipated himself from the off-ball linebacker spot, as Dan Quinn mentioned in the offseason. Okay, we'll get to the DeAndre Hopkins thing. We want to devote more time to it, so it's in the top of the 4 o'clock. So coming up in about 10 minutes, we'll get to DeAndre Hopkins being released and who's going to be in the DeAndre Hopkins sweepstakes. We previewed this story actually earlier this week, and turns out has sooner rather than later, the DeAndre Hopkins sweepstakes is kicked off. So we'll get into that coming up at the top of the 4 o'clock. We got the flex on the other side.
Flex.
Hard has got some updates for you. We'll get
yeah.
into that right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn.
Mike Harge here, and I want to talk to you about my friends over at Quick Roofing. You never know what this Texas weather is going to do, whether it's going to hail or rain, or maybe even having to deal with some high winds. But I guarantee you don't think about your roof during that time. Do yourself a favor and reach out to my friends over at Quick Roofing. Go to quickroofing.com. You get a free, no obligation inspection. That's what I'm talking about. Take advantage of it. It's free. Free, no obligation inspection. Quick Roofing requires a project manager on every job site, ensuring that you, the customer, get everything that you were promised. Quick Roofing is fully insured, and they have all state and local licenses. Quick Roofing doesn't even require any money up front until 100% completion and 100% satisfaction. And with all of that, you get a 7-year workmanship warranty. I know you don't think about it enough, and it doesn't hurt just to get that free inspection. So do yourself a favor, reach out right now and get that free inspection. You can go to quickroofing.com today. That is quickroofing.com.
Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. 512 Friday. That's when Patrick plays jams from local bands and artists, very talented human beings that you have a chance to catch live right here in the ATX. Who we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is the Bourgeois Mystics, and they're playing tonight at the Parish.
It's a good name. It's a great name.
Bourgeois
Mystics. Damn, that's good.
That's smooth.
I keep wondering, I would love to see a documentary, and it could just be literally 90 seconds with every band, and it probably should have been something that was started like 10, 15 years ago. It's got to be like I'm talking about, it's a 5, maybe it don't have to be a 5-10 year project. Maybe you just do parts of it. You do part 1, part 2, and you just go around and talk to bands across the country, and I just need your quick story on the genesis of the name.
Yeah.
That's it. Quick one. 90 seconds, boom, 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 boom. I just want to see if there's a common thread. Because the names are so creative. I love it.
Yeah.
Bourgeois Mystics.
I always did love Dave Grohl talking about the Foo Fighters. He was like, yeah, if I knew I was still going to be in the band like 20 years later, I would have chosen something else.
I chose his name on the band or something?
But no, but he was just like, it's kind of a stupid name that
Well,
we
he
just did
didn't-
because
yeah.
we were like, I'll probably do like an album.
Yeah,
and
you're
so
right.
it's just this thing, and then
Because
we'll do
most
on the next
bands
thing.
don't stay
And
together
then-
that long, and they don't make it big.
And you're like, oh, no, yeah. Now we've been going strong and one of the biggest rock bands the last 20, 30 years. I guess we got to stick with it now. But
But
Yeah,
you
there
know
is
what?
no changing.
That's true, but it's well known though. Like
It is.
everybody knows that band name.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've always been curious about that. 512 Friday always brings that curiosity out in me. But thanks to my man Patrick, working hard after his birthday, by the way. Had a birthday yesterday, so he's working hard day after his birthday for a 512 Friday. All right, the Flex, FLXATX.com, FLXATX on all of your social media platforms. Hard, you got some updates for the people.
I do. I'm sitting here right now looking at the Westlake Chaparrals game as they're taking on Eagle Pass last night. They got a chance to win. They won the game 7-2 in Eagle Pass, and now they are up right now 4-0 in the top of the 7th inning. If they win this, the series is over. If they lose this game, they will play again right after the game. So it's going to be hopefully they're moving on to the next round. Rouse won yesterday 4-2.
Hey.
They're continuing to move on. They
Nice.
have games again. I think their next game starts at 4 o'clock today. And by the way, the Taylor Ducks won again. They keep it moving, dog. They keep
Quack,
it moving.
quack.
Central Texas is trying to represent as we continue to move on. So big games are being still played, and we might have a representative headed to the state tournament too. So
All right. Also, don't forget, go to FLXATX.com. They have the schedule up there for the 7-on-7 tournament this weekend at Westwood. So you can go check that out as well if you want to go attend those festivities. So FLXATX.com, FLXATX on all of your social media platforms. Also, the Wednesday Night Flex is also still up there, so you can get the replays of those Wednesday Night Flex with the Flex crew. Nolan Hogan, the C, doing a good job with Cameron Parker. Those guys working really hard for you. Okay, we come back. We will discuss the big news of the day. The Cardinals are expected to release DeAndre Hopkins, and if he is released, we will discuss what teams will be in the DeAndre Hopkins sweepstakes. And also, we have some GM, head coach, and quarterback rankings. I call that the holy trinity of the NFL. You want to nail those 3. You get those 3 right, everything else falls into place. We'll discuss all of that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn.
Mike Hart here, and I want to talk to you about my friends over at the League Kitchen and Tavern. This is the weekend. If you have not been over to one of the 4 Austin area locations, whether it's Belterra, Lakeway, Bee Cave, or my favorite, Avery Ranch, this is the weekend to do it. All you have to do is go to leaguekitchen.com. You can check out their menu. You can see all the monthly specials. And if you've heard a lot about it and you know all your friends are there, you can even go online and make reservations. You do not want to miss out. The month of May is almost up, so you need to get over there right now and try that Santa Fe burger. It's the burger of the month, and they also ground all of their burgers in-house, and they're made from scratch. Go over there and enjoy the prickly pear, which is the cocktail of the month. And, of course, you can get some of the entrees, whether it's the skillet tachos as an appetizer. You can get the shrimp Veracruz, or my favorite, the Hatch chili pork enchiladas. Whether you're going to dine in or pick up, the league has something for you. You can view monthly specials and the menu at leaguekitchen.com. That is leaguekitchen.com.
Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. 512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. That's when my man Patrick takes jams from local bands and artists, very talented human beings, and plays those jams for us and gives you a chance to catch these very talented human beings live right here in Austin, Texas. Who are we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is the Waters, and they're playing tonight at Sam's Town Points.
I like that. Yeah, there you go. So if you miss any of these suggestions for 512 Friday, I believe my man Patrick always hooks you up at hornfm.com on the website. So you can look really smart in front of all your friends, look really cool in front of all your friends like you're in the know. And really, it's just Patrick giving you the down low on all these very talented folks on a 512 Friday. All right, let's get to the big story of the day. It is some news that we discussed. We actually played some audio, too, earlier in the week of DeAndre Hopkins on a podcast with Brandon Marshall, the I Am Athlete podcast, of him, I guess, foreshadowing, and I guess maybe he knew because the word on the street is he hasn't been the best teammate there with the Arizona Cardinals, and maybe that he was trying to force his way out, sabotage the relationship there. But the Arizona Cardinals have released DeAndre Hopkins, and now we wait to see what team is going to acquire DeAndre Hopkins, and at least how much it is going to cost to acquire DeAndre Hopkins as well. That will also be a big topic of conversation. We talked about it earlier. I think Kansas City and Buffalo, gentlemen, are the two. I don't know if they're the front runners. I looked at the Vegas odds for bookies.com. We brought this up earlier this week when we discussed this topic. Kansas City had the best odds when I last looked at it. Now, that was before this news broke. I haven't looked at it since the news broke. Got to go look at it since the news broke. I'm sure it's changed. But Kansas City had the best odds to land DeAndre Hopkins if he left Arizona. And, of course, him being cut means he's leaving Arizona.
Yes.
So if that is the case, then, like I said, the rest of the NFL should be afraid. Well, be very afraid if he ends up with Kansas City or Buffalo. And remember, on the Pivot podcast, he said, I believe his 5 quarterbacks, when they asked him, what quarterbacks would you like to be receiver for or catch balls from, in order, he said Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert. Oh, sorry. The guy from San Diego.
The guy from San Diego.
I believe he could even come with the name. The guy from San Diego. But he likes his game, apparently. Yep. So I honestly think he might end up with one of those squads. I think that Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, if he wants to win a Super Bowl, those would be the two front runners. Do those teams want to pay whatever it is going to cost to acquire DeAndre Hopkins or whatever the asking price is? Well, that's where we got the, whatever's lost in translation.
Well, what we really got to figure out is how much it's going to cost the Arizona Cardinals with how much they're going to pick up of that tab. That will tell you everything about what he can go for on the open market. We talked yesterday about Patrick Mahomes talking about, I'm not going to do anything to hurt the quarterback market by giving up too much money. And that could be the same thing that DeAndre Hopkins is talking about too. But if you're trying to seriously make a run, and I believe his list of demands had a lot to do with the stability of the front office, the quarterback, to your point, that he can understand and vibe with, but most importantly, a quarterback that is trying to be a leader. That is where he was losing so much respect for Kyler Murray. Was he going to try to throw him under the bus? No. But now that he's out of there, I'm sure we're going to hear some other conversations about how Kyler wasn't trying to get to the work level that everybody else was. We've heard it, but we haven't truly heard players talk about it. We've all heard a coach. We've all heard front office. We've all heard other talking heads talk about it. I've yet to hear a player say anything about Kyler, and I'm wondering if if DeAndre is going to be the person that might come out and say, this is why I was asking for my release or my trade or whatever it was. Because remember, he did ask for a trade, right? He asked for a trade earlier.
Yeah, I
don't think it was as publicized like Lamar's. Yeah, but he did ask for one.
It's a part of too where every team's going to have to look at and go, this guy's, whether it was right or wrong, and both these teams don't have great cultures of, and success. But this is the second team that has basically cut ties with him solely on how he acted in the locker room and nothing to do with his performance. Yeah. So when you're bringing him in, you go, okay, we need to really vet him a little bit to make sure we're bringing him in and he is part of what we want to do, and he doesn't want to come in and change up what we do. Yeah. So we just need to check and make sure on that. But like we can say the Chargers are out because they've already got too many wide receivers as is. They don't need to add another wide receiver there. Kansas City seems to be the team that makes the most sense. They already had a guy named Tyreek Hill that, many people said coming up was not going to be a culture fit for them, and they were able to do great things with him. So you go, we have enough support around us that we feel we can have a wide receiver come in and fit him in, and we can make things work with him in here, and we probably have the room to do it because our wide receiver budget is really low right now.
Yeah.
I mean, Buffalo could take a look at him, and we know Buffalo is probably would offer him the longest contract just because that's kind of how they've been doing business, is trying to sign those kind of cap over cash, but work those deals where it's like a 4 or 5 year deal and the money's split up in a weird way. They've done that for a couple guys. So they may offer him something that's longer if he wants that. But if he wants to go short term, you'd probably figure Kansas City would be the team.
Can I go back to something you brought up earlier? I think it is unfair that DeAndre Hopkins is getting the label of being a diva now late in his career. Remember, early in his career, he was everything, the antithesis of a diva. Yeah. He had a holdout that lasted less than 24 hours with the Texans. And because Bill O'Brien, and the ineptitude and dysfunction of the fuster-cluck of a franchise, the Texans decided him having too many baby mamas wasn't.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Right, that
was ridiculous.
No, that's I'm just.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. That is ridiculous.
That was one of the reasons that he was not compatible with their plan to be the Chick-fil-A of the NFL, because they wanted to be a Christian kind of based organization, which nothing wrong with that at all. But
Christian's supposed to forgive.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. But your nuggets suck. Okay, Chick-fil-A can do that because they got damn good nuggets. They can be closed on Sundays, and you've been playing like you've been closed on Sundays for the last 2 years. Okay, they can be a Christian based organization. You cannot do it. All right, you can't pull that off. You're not that good. So he didn't jive with that, so they decided, we're moving on from him. So because of that, he's now had a label attached to him that he's a bit of a diva, and he goes to Arizona where they have, and by the way, the leadership with the Texans, even the quarterback leadership, bad.
Right.
Deshaun Watson was he was the face of your franchise. And
Is this your king?
Exactly. And then Bill O'Brien was also the leader, and Jack Easterby was the leader, and then the son. All right, there's the ownership, right? And to me, I don't know if that was fair for him to get the label of being a diva just because of the fuster-cluck of a franchise that the Houston Texans were, and they moved on from him. And then he goes to Arizona, and what we hear about Kyler Murray, that he's not a great leader.
Right.
And what do we hear about that Cliff Kingsbury? Was he a great head coach? Probably not. Great offensive mind, not a great head coach. So I think because he's ended up in all these dumpster fires, he's got this label attached to him. And I'm going to say unfairly, but it could be fair. Maybe I don't know the whole story. None of us do. But I think it's an unfair label attached to him, considering, look at the circumstances around the man.
Yeah.
Good Lord, look at both of those franchises.
Yeah.
He's played for two of the worst franchises in the NFL the last two times, last 3 or 4 years now.
Which is why his demands have changed a little bit.
Yeah, like he's becoming a diva because he's dealing with these really bad franchises, terrible leadership. And he's like, you know what? I have to take my future in my own hands because I cannot trust y'all to do it.
No, and I get that. I'm saying that when you look at that, first of all, there are franchises out there. There's probably still 10 to 15 franchises in the NFL right now that have coaches in front offices just like Arizona and Houston, where he's going to go there. And if you say, oh, we'll bring him in because let's pay him $20 million more and he'll save our team, that's not the best way to bring him in. And you could have this once again. So I'm just saying that any team who goes after him, you have to look and go, okay, we looked into it. We asked people around, and they told us, hey, man, it was a situation, not him. Yep. And then you go, cool, we'll bring him in. But you have to at least look into it, because if you go, again, when we say 2 times, you're like, it could be a coincidence. It could be a coincidence that he went to 2 teams, and it just was that. Or you have to, but if you go talk to people and they go, oh, no, he fought his way out of both teams. and he will do it to you too because that's what people think of him.
I don't
think that's what it is. I think you have to vet him.
No, I agree. But I'm just saying we do have to look at the franchises. I mean, and like I said, with other franchises, you're not wrong that there is an aptitude all around the league. But with the Texans, there's no checks and balances. Every level of leadership is bad. From Cal McNair, and not anymore, but I'm just saying, obviously in recent history, this Cal McNair, whether it was Easterby, whether it was Bill O'Brien, whatever you were looking at, they were all bad. It was all bad leadership.
Yep.
And the quarterback, obviously, that was bad leadership too. Deshaun Watson wasn't a great leader. They was a good football player, but not a great leader. And then you go to the Arizona Cardinals, it was Cliff Kingsbury. Was that great leadership? Then Kyler Murray. And then the GM, have the GM there. Right? He was a bit of a dumpster fire himself. Was that Keim?
Keim? Yeah. He got in trouble.
He got in trouble multiple times.
Yeah.
And now I think he's trying to sue the Cardinals. Guys, that's what I'm saying. Like, I know there's bad leadership everywhere, but usually there's a checks and balances. Like, oh, your GM is bad, but you got a damn good quarterback who's a good leader. Or your owner's a good owner, but you know what? The head coach is bad, but you got a good GM. There's no checks and balances with both of those organizations. It was bad all the way down till they got to him. Everybody was inept and dysfunctional. So I'm just saying, like, can we give the man a break? Like, now he's a diva just because he wanted out of two of the worst run organizations in the NFL the last 5 years? Good Lord, I would want out too.
I would have wanted to leave too, just FYI.
This ain't Kyrie Irving, guys.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it is.
I'm a big Hopkins fan, and I'm even to the point where I was looking at the Cowboys trying to get him at one point. Now you're looking at the money. This might be a situation where if they're taking all the money and all the risk and they got to take this cap hit. That's why everybody's shocked that they released him now, and it's not a designated drop on June 1st. No, he's released now.
Yeah, because they're going to rebuild this year.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. I'm talking about as far as my money's concerned.
Yeah, but I think that was the deal is they just want to rebuild. And so they're like, let's get this cap hit out of the way quicker because we push it out. If we're going to be trying to be competitive again in 3 years and we're still paying for him, just get him off the books and we'll be done with it. Pay everything now and you know, because we have to spend the money somewhere. Mm-hmm. So we might as well spend it on this guy that was not going to be here and we'll be fine and we can write the check and we can go home.
Yep.
But that's why I think they did that. But yeah, I mean, I agree with your point that he has been in two very bad situations.
For sure.
I think that if any of these teams, like if you talk about a Buffalo or a Kansas City, I don't think there's really any problem there because it has much better leadership. I think Buffalo is 2 or 3 steps away. Like if they regress again this year,
agreed,
that is going to turn into an S show really quickly because they have so much money on the books. Stephon Diggs is already unhappy, and you have to fire McDermott at that point. So we don't know who they bring in because you've obviously reached a ceiling with McDermott if they regress again. So there is a lot of questions of like Buffalo. If he goes there, you go, ooh. This could be strike 3 for you, and it's not even your fault, but they just bring you in, and it falls apart.
And something tells me that DeAndre Hopkins doesn't like the cold. That he doesn't want to play in the cold.
Yeah.
I don't know that for a fact. I'm just saying something in me tells me he's got to choose. He's going to choose a warmer weather.
But he didn't pick
that's
Arizona,
the part about
right?
it is.
Yeah, no, I'm saying he didn't choose. I mean, I guess he
no,
and
honestly,
but now he's a free agent. He chooses.
Kansas City gets cold too. I'm just saying, but Buffalo is a different.
I will go to Kansas City.
You've been in different parts of the country.
Yes.
There are different kinds of cold in different parts of the country, and you know that. In Buffalo, way different kind of cold than the Kansas City cold. Still cold.
Stayed an off season with a girlfriend. Didn't stay the whole off season.
Well, Buffalo
stayed a week because it was too cold for your boy, and we broke up.
Yeah. No, and think about in AFC East, you play basically a lot of cold. You play Miami is your kind of warm weather place to go.
Yeah.
Everywhere else, you still going to play cold weather places, pretty much.
Frozen tundra.
Man,
not doing
you play in Kansas City, you get to go to the West Coast.
Exactly.
Yes,
you're in the
Vegas
West.
And
you're in the
San
West.
Diego.
I want all the late games.
You know what I mean? So yeah, you got to play in Kansas
domes.
City.
I want domes.
So I don't know. That's just. But like I said, I don't know anything. I don't know that for a fact.
I'm with you. My thought process: I'm either going to the Dallas Cowboys or I'm going to the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm not going to Buffalo because let's not forget, Stephon Diggs is trying to get out of Buffalo. He said it multiple times. He loves Josh Allen. He loves him. But he doesn't want to be there no more. And you got New York State tax, too.
Could there be incentive for them to go more all in on the other? I don't know. If he wants out there, I wonder if that de-incentivizes or incentivizes DeAndre Hopkins to go there.
Yeah.
But they offer more money now that they're a little bit unstable, you know what I mean, destabilized
Yep.
there at wide receiver.
Yep.
I will give you a couple. One team we know he will not go to. I can tell you 100% he is not going to the Patriots. We know that because Bill O'Brien is the offensive coordinator. He is not going to the Patriots.
That is true.
So,
What was
because that's a team that needs a wide receiver.
No, you're right. He's not
But
going.
That's
Bill
a
O'Brien's there,
great
so we're
point.
good.
No way.
But I will say a team that could really use him, that is warm,
Give it to
that
me.
is young, that is ready to go.
Oh,
Jacksonville.
I knew you were going there. You're right. And they
And
can afford him.
And they're building right now. You
Yeah.
can put him on there. Really good coach.
Ooh.
That is a really good coach.
You have a
and
good
he
coach in
loves
there.
it.
You have that's one of those things where you put him in, and now you got veteran experience.
That's scary.
You put him in, so that's a team that I would say they need to look into it. I don't know if he's looking at them right now, but they should be on the phone being like, "Hey, why don't you come down for a meeting?"
The only thing that I would say that may put a bit of a damper on that, because I love that idea, by the way, is that they get Calvin Ridley back.
Yeah, they can come
So
around the back.
so they may think, oh no, we got reinforcements already coming.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. They want to go all in. Like, nah, let's go, dog. Let's go. We had a shot. We're ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now with Peterson here, and we got our head coach, we got our quarterback of the future. We like where we're going. Let's go. Let's get him. If we actually last year, think about it, they were closer than they thought because they had that run toward the end of the season. They get DeAndre Hopkins. They may have one of the best wide receiving corps in the league, like top 3 or 4.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that's one. That's just a team that I put on the radar at least.
Someone says,
And we just need his grandpa to send him some film of Trevor Lawrence, because I doubt he knows. If he doesn't know who the kid from San Diego is, there's no way he knows who Trevor Lawrence is.
yeah, you're right. There's no way. Yeah. Well, he probably has another name for him. the blonde
Hey,
hair, the long
Sunshine.
hair. Yeah, exactly. Sunshine. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, he probably has some other name for him.
Sunshine.
A texter here says Lions might make a sneaky pick. That's also
that would be
Hey,
good.
they play in
that
a
would
dome.
be good. They play in a dome. That's what I say. They do. They play in a dome, and man, that offense is a high price. It's a top 5 offense.
Didn't they lose a wide receiver to suspension for gambling?
Yes,
Yeah,
Jameson
Jameson
Williams.
Williams.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
right. 6 games.
Yep.
So
Great point. Oh, that's big. That is true, and they got to start off against Kansas City.
But that's one does he want to go play with Jared Goff? And I know Goff had a really good season, but we just from the clip we listened to last week, yesterday,
It wasn't one of the quarterback.
it was not.
quarterbacks he named.
It's not.
No.
And Jared Goff, he knows of because he's playing the Super Bowl. Like, you figure he's heard that name before.
And to your point, Harge, about Dallas, man, remember they in that clip? We have to replay that clip later on the show. I'm sure we got out to sit.
We just got to play one piece of it.
Yeah,
when he goes,
it-
Dak Prescott, he goes,
I knew y'all was gonna go
Well,
there.
he never. I mean, the guy said Dak Prescott. Brandon Marshall said Dak Prescott, and then the beautiful woman who was there, she says, "Oh, I love Dak Prescott," and he doesn't blink. He doesn't say. He doesn't respond. He doesn't even. He doesn't even actually acknowledge that they said Dak Prescott's name. He just rolls on to the next QB in his head. So I don't know if Dak's on that wish list, man.
Maybe that was his way of playing poker. He was playing. He got a poker face. He wasn't even
wait,
gonna
if
give
the
it.
Cowboys get Brandon Cooks and DeAndre Hopkins, they're just going.
just moving up
There's
north.
every angry Texans wide receiver is going there.
That would
Yeah.
Hey, let's go sign Will Fuller, guys.
That would be somewhat annoying, actually, as a Texans fan. That would be, but.
I would be excited for y'all.
Honestly, guys, hey, what about Baltimore? Would Baltimore make a move here? 'Cause Baltimore,
They just way overpaid for Odell Beckham.
They did.
And are you
They
going to
did.
overpay for?
but they,
I don't think you're going to be overpaying for
But-
Hopkins because he still has a lot left in the tank. We still don't know what's happening with Odell as far as his injury is concerned.
Yeah.
yes, and think about it, guys. They have just, and maybe it's temporary, or maybe now because they have Lamar Jackson as their franchise quarterback, and they've signed a new contract. They've shifted their methods a little bit, right? Their habits. They're drafting wide receivers early in the draft. They never used to do that. They're paying wide receivers in free agency. Probably this is all to keep Lamar Jackson happy, but still, it is them kind of changing some of their organizational habits. Honestly, they got a new offensive coordinator in Todd Monken. We just heard the sound yesterday of Lamar Jackson saying we're going to throw it more and run it less. All right, basically, him sound paraphrasing. You can only get so far running the football the way we run it. We got to throw the football. DeAndre Hopkins, he's great for a quarterback like Lamar Jackson.
God, can you imagine?
50-50 balls.
Can you
Oh.
imagine that wide receiver room step up in 1 year if it goes from Wait, Devin Duvernay was the number one.
Yeah, well, boy, no, you're right. Good
Devin
point.
Duvernay was like what, one of their higher receivers.
He was.
To now you'd have Hop You'd have Odell Beckham Jr.
And
You'd have
got
Zay Flowers.
Come on,
And
Paul.
you
All in
got
one offseason.
Duvernay. And you still got
And you can do Duvernay, and you
Yeah.
got there's another guy, and I can't think of his name right now.
Oh, you're right. Because basically, here it is. They had Marquise.
Porsche.
They had Marquise. You're right. It is him. They had Marquise Brown. Basically, won a unanimous MVP.
Yeah.
Throwing to Marquise Brown, Willie Snead, Seth Roberts, Miles Boykin, and Chris Moore at wide receiver. Those were his receivers when he won MVP. Now he's going to have OBJ, Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers, Nelson Aguilar, and Devin Duvernay.
Yeah,
And then he still got his tight end.
Nelson Aguilar gets cut if you get DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. And then you got the tight end who he loves as that's
Mark
probably his
Andrews,
top
yeah.
weapon as Mark Andrews. But
that's right.
but receiver wise, listen, they're starting to look a little different. They get DeAndre Hopkins, and this is a team that spent the fewest amount of dollars on wide receiver. I think the second fewest actually in a 4-year span with Lamar Jackson as their starting quarterback. And now they're starting to change things a little bit. So I don't know. I like what they're doing. And maybe DeAndre Hopkins can be one of the missing pieces. And he was on the list, by the way.
He was.
Yes, he was.
Lamar Jackson made the list. Jalen Hurts
You
made
know
the
who
list,
didn't?
but it won't be Jalen Hurts.
Dak didn't make the list.
I don't think Joe Burrow made the list either, though. So,
Joe
So,
Burrow did
yeah,
not
there
make
we
the
go.
list.
Thank you.
so
But
let's
they-
just,
that's
for the
true.
record, we will say Joe Burrow is not on his list.
That
So,
way, yeah. Okay.
but again, Jalen Hurts is the only guy that was under the age of 25 that he knew the name.
Do you have to like Joe Burrow that much? Yeah, I guess you do.
Yeah, if you're gonna say who would you want to be thrown to, you'd be like, yeah, I think I'd probably put that name up on my
I would
list.
put Joe Burrow on my list. Hopkins to the Giants, says a texter.
Yeah, he ain't going to Daniel Jones.
He don't want to play with Daniel Jones. The Giants may want him, but I don't know if it's
Oh, yeah.
reciprocated.
Yeah, I don't
know
think
if he want to
that's-
play with them.
It's
But
gonna be cold up there.
I will say,
but it is New York.
if anybody can make Daniel Jones look good, it's Spanx. You know what I said about DeAndre Hopkins, man? He's like Spanx. He can he's basically the NFL equivalent of the garment Spanx for women. Nothing against it, ladies. I'm all for it. But he can take something misshapen, malformed, shapeless, something disproportionate, unattractive,
My man
that's
said shapeless.
non-symmetrical, unappealing, and unsightly, and he'll turn it into something productive and sexy. He's done it many times. Trust me, with Matt Schaub, Case Keenum, Ryan Mallett, Ryan Fitzpatrick, TJ Yates, Brandon Wheaton, Brian Hoyer, Tom Savage, AJ McCarron, all the quarterbacks he had in his first 5 years before Deshaun Watson became his starting quarterback. Guys, that is by somebody brought up Andre Johnson earlier this week when I brought that stat up. Andre Johnson had some bad quarterbacks throwing the football, but he did not have as many bad quarterbacks in a short time span as DeAndre Hopkins had as his starting quarterbacks. And I'm not sure he made All-Pro with 3 different starting quarterbacks throwing him the football like DeAndre Hopkins did.
I was going to say.
Hopkins
yeah.
is a beast.
No, I also throw you in. If you go to the Giants, you get double teamed basically every play because they don't have any other wide receivers.
That
What
is-
you mean
that's
about
good point.
Sterling Shepard?
So that you get double teamed every play. So that's another one for if he doesn't want that, and
He
if
does
he goes,
not want that.
If he goes, man, I want to go play with somebody else because it's gonna be a lot more fun on one-on-ones. Then they just literally double team me the entire time.
Man, I'd be trying to get to Kansas City
Or Detroit. Or Detroit, because look at it. You got Marvin Jones, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, and you got Josh Reynolds. Amon-Ra is the number 1 over there.
Yeah.
Until Williams comes back, and then Williams is supposed to be the number 1.
But he's out.
He was out last year too until
Yeah.
he came back. So he hasn't played a full season.
He ain't even on the wide receiver list anymore right now.
He's
'Cause
suspended
is
right
Gonna
now.
be out. Yeah, so
Suspended,
no
yeah.
point for the 6
So
games.
you out of there.
I like that Lions pick. My top 2 for him would be Kansas City, Baltimore, and after that
Dallas.
I'm trying to go more realistic, and I don't think Dallas is going to do it. Listen, Dallas has been making moves, but think about it. It still ain't in free agency, guys.
Yeah.
They don't like free agency. They made trades to get Stephon Gilmore, trade to get Brandon Cooks. So that's still a way for them to get bang for their buck. They believe, and Stephen Jones, Catboy, has said this on the record. He believes you overpay in free agency, so they don't like free agency. They only pay for their own guys to bring them back in free agency because they're getting a bargain there because those are guys they drafted. This is the most homegrown team in the NFL, and they hate free agency with a passion.
Which
So
is crazy
I don't think
to
they're
me.
going to do it. I don't think
Yeah.
they're going there. If they could trade for him, yes, but they're not going. They don't want to go bid on the open market for a player because they believe that is bad value. It's a bad organizational habit, and I don't totally disagree with them. But I do think you should use every means possible to acquire the best talent available, and the Cowboys don't believe that. Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles believe that.
Right, they do.
They believe that.
They believe in that. And so I believe Veach does too.
Veach is in there too. I think
Veach will go and get some
he'll
help
go
quickly.
I'm with you on that. So I don't think he's going to the Cowboys. I'm sorry, Cowboys fans. I don't think it's going to happen.
Thanks, bro.
I'm sorry.
I just thought I'd throw it out there so I could get the people rowdy.
He worked out there
and
hung out there and was hanging out with Micah and talked to Micah. I just don't think it's going to happen. But if he goes to Kansas City, whew,
that's why he's got to go somewhere else. You can't let him go to Kansas City.
Baltimore
Somebody else got to step up.
I was Baltimore because Baltimore, the NFL still has hope.
That's what I was trying to tell somebody today. It's like you can look at it and there's so many different teams that you can go play for, but do you want to win? Yeah. And if you want to win, especially at this stage in your career, how much more money do you need? Unless you've had bad spending habits and you've been in the league as long as he has and how much money he's made, endorsement, all this other stuff, is it more about you being a champion or is it more about you being the highest paid? Because just like Patrick Mahomes said, I'm more about the legacy than I am about the financials right now. The money's going to come.
That's why Kansas City's the leader.
Exactly.
And that's the other question is how much of that's guaranteed from the Cardinals.
Right.
Because he may be getting a flat check for $20 million from the Cardinals if that's what's guaranteed on
That's
it.
what I'm saying. And then you're out of there.
Yeah, so
That's
if you
the
go,
part.
man, I already got a $20 million check.
I think it was 19.7,
19 and a half, or 19.7 guaranteed. Then you could take a little bit less or stretch it out over a few couple years.
You don't even need that. You want to be a champ.
I don't think you can do at 30 years old, I'll sign for the minimum to win a ring.
Yeah.
But you can still come in with a favorable deal, which 15 to 20 is a very favorable deal for D-Hop right now.
All right, here's the money. So the move will not be designated as a post-June 1 cut because they just cut him, meaning the Cardinals will clear $7.38 million in cap space in 2023. They're going to carry $22.6 million in dead cap. Damn. And will have removed Hopkins' salary from their cap entirely in 2024. Because Hopkins didn't have any guaranteed money left on his deal, Arizona will also save $19.4 million in cash in 2023. So they must have they paid it out.
Okay.
He's got no more. According to Tom Pelissero, there's no more guaranteed money left on the deal.
So he can go wherever he wants and make whatever he wants.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he basically.
I want to win, I'll take the minimum.
He can go veteran minimum if you want. So I don't think he will because that's an insult, but he can go close to it, hook somebody up. All right, what you got coming up on Harsh Knock Life?
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about the Dallas Cowboys. We're also going to talk a little bit about the Texas Rangers. I know we hadn't had much of that conversation, but surprise, surprise, we're headed into June, and them boys still winning.
All right, we got that coming up on Harsh Knock Life right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. I'm getting older, and as I get older, hopefully I'm getting wiser, getting a little bit better. But as you get older, you got to leave some things in the past. You got to be willing to do that. Things like social distancing, things like cancel culture, the Big 12. But one thing I will never leave in the past is my favorite beer, that is Bud Light. I've been drinking Bud Light for so long, since my days on the 40 acres on 36th Street. Obviously, to my time in the NFL as a player. And nowadays, hell, just after a long, hard day, after a reward for some yard work, or maybe just to decompress, I break open the Bud Light. It's still my go-to beer for Longhorn tailgates on Saturdays and my NFL Sundays. So whether you want to toast and cheers to a brighter tomorrow or drown your sorrows, it's never a bad time to break out the Bud Light. Bud Light isn't just for anybody, it's for everybody. And the best way to get the good times going is to keep that Bud Light flowing. Bud Light is a sure sign of a good time, always has been and always will be, because it turns good times into great times and the rest of the times into the best of times. So be the life of the party and bring more Bud Light to the party. Bud Light, brewed deep in the heart and proud of it.
Welcome back to a 512 edition of Ball Don't Lie. It's your boy Hardball Hard. You can follow me on Twitter at Hardball Hard. You can follow my man Rob Babers at Rob Babers. And, of course, you can follow the man behind the glass at It's Patrick Davis. We also love it when you're a part of the show. Hit us up on the Specs text line 512-337-3776. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the Dallas Cowboys and what the expectations are coming into this season, some of the moves that they made this offseason, who is going to be the go-to guy. But I want to start off by talking about the Texas Rangers. I got a chance to go to spring training thanks to the courtesy of the Round Rock Express, the AAA affiliate of the Texas Rangers, and the folks for Texas Rangers. They invited us out there, got a chance to walk around, see a lot of stuff, and get to meet some of these new players. And we had Jared Sadler on with us early in the season, and we were talking about this team and what the expectations were coming in, and they were all in. We talked about it from last year. They went out and got Corey Seager at shortstop, and they went and got Marcus Semien at second base. Marcus Semien had a very slow start last year, was not producing the numbers. Then I find out this year the reason why his numbers might have slowed up a little bit was because of the fact that he was dealing with everything concerning the lockout with Major League Baseball, making sure that the Players Association and the CBA was written up the right way, which was very impressive. And now he's come out and been able to do all kinds of things. But you sit here and you look at this team, but then they go out and they get a Nathan Eovaldi pitcher, comes in and has got 2 complete games and has really looked like the leader of this team because Jacob deGrom, the big money offseason, was struggling a little bit, and then he had to deal with the injury. So you start looking at this team and you say, man, are they really that good? Are they really that good? I have to tell you, they're really that good. They are really that good. And when you look at who they are and what they were able to do in the West, it is impressive. They are right now, they're in first place, 31-18. with a .633 winning percentage. They're 7-3 in their last 10. They got a 2-game winning streak. But here's the impressive part for me when you talk about the Texas Rangers. It's the plus-minus. It's the plus-minus on the run differential. They are now, the number one team right now is Tampa Bay with the plus-minus. They are plus 114. The number 2 team, the Texas Rangers. They are plus 112. There are 2 runs behind them. And they have continued to go out there. And remember, Tampa got off to that great start where everybody was talking about the Tampa Bay Rays and how they were going about their business and the winning streak that they had going into the season. And now you look at this Texas Rangers team and you're like, man, they are very, very impressive. And when you start looking at their stats and who's the leaders and what's going on with them, for me, it's the development of Josh Young, the third baseman, and Garcia in the outfield, and what Corey Seager and Marcus Semien are able to do as a team. That's been the most impressive part for me. I continue to watch this team develop and grow, and you keep saying, wait a minute, what is different about this team? What is different about this team? And you just find out it's everything. It's the confidence. You bring in a guy like Bruce Bochy, the manager that has won a lot of games in the major league. He's a calming voice. He's somebody that can teach these guys what it's like to win because he's not coming in to lose.
Yep.
He is not coming in to lose, and that's why Chris Young got a chance to go out there and get that type of player, get all those players that they needed. And the development of Josh Young coming up through the system and him being one of the guys that you look at his average, he's hitting .273 as a starting rookie third baseman, but he leads all rookies in majorities of the categories for rookies. So I'm looking at him to be the player of the or rookie of the year in most batting. So you keep looking at that team and you keep saying, okay, they playing clean baseball. Everybody's doing their role. And don't forget, Corey Seager was out for a while.
Yeah.
Remember, he got hurt, pulled a hamstring. He's just now getting back, and he's right back in the middle of that lineup. So I'm very impressed because we are now about to head toward the month of May. and these guys are still in the leading the West right now, which is very impressive considering where they were before that. They're ahead of the Houston Astros, who are 28 and 21. They're only 3 games back. They've had their ups and downs, but their plus minus is only 38.
Yeah, they
You know what I'm saying?
scraping.
They're scrapping for these wins.
I know
They're
they are.
scrapping for these wins. But the Rangers do a great job at home. They're 16-8. They're 15-10 on the road, and they're playing against teams that have a 500 record or better. They're 14-10. That's winning baseball. And they got a big challenge this week because they're playing against Baltimore. Baltimore is another team that has a very good record. They're 33-17. They're just behind the Tampa Bay Rays. They're 3 games out of first place in the East. So I'm impressed with what I've been able to see from the Texas Rangers thus far. And again, we're heading into May to June, and they're still in the middle of that battle and leading the West. So shout out to them. I just wanted to make sure that we gave them their love in what they've been able to do. They are now being considered one of the most explosive offensive teams in Major League Baseball right now.
Yeah.
Who would have thunk it?
That offseason, all those offseason moves worked, man.
They did.
Spent some money.
They spent the money, and they got them in the right place. So I'm real excited for that. Well, now I want to talk a little bit about the Dallas Cowboys and what the expectations are. Obviously, with the changes that have been made in the play calling situation, we've already talked about Mike McCarthy and what he's wanting to do. They got in Brian Schottenheimer is now the OC, replacing Kellen Moore. I know everybody's waiting to see how Kellen Moore does with Justin Herbert because everybody hates on Dak, which is fine. But we'll see because they also know the upside of what a Justin Herbert has. The NFL has been talking about it. He's their golden boy, and now they're going to get a chance to see what he can do with an offense because Cowboys did put up a lot of points, and Rod made sure to let me know that throughout the process.
Hey, man, just trying to keep the stats out there.
Right, you got to keep it
It's
out
data,
there.
baby.
But I've been following our man John Machota, who does a great job with The Athletic, and he's got a couple quotes that have been out there, and Dak Prescott was talking about the offensive changes with now that Mike McCarthy is going to be calling plays. He said there are some changes, but it's not like we're going to throw away our playbook and try to start over or anything like that. Obviously, we've had success, so it's good here. So we talked about this before. The Cowboys has always had one of the top 5 scoring offenses in the NFL. Year after year for what they were able to do. And then they led the NFL per game with 31.2 in 2021, and they averaged 407 yards per game in offense. So we got a chance to see that. Yep. But now we got different playmakers that are coming in that you have to get that chemistry. And I know we talked a little bit about Aaron Rodgers going to training camp. One thing you never had to worry about was Dak being at training camp. Dak always showed up to training camp. He likes the grind.
He does.
He likes to be with his teammates and trying to build that chemistry. Well, now you got Brandon Cooks. We've got CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup. You know, we talked about the fact of Amari Cooper and him leaving and not being a part of this team, but now we've moved on from that. There's now guys that we have that can stretch the field in Brandon Cooks. I still believe that CeeDee Lamb, although he's not I don't think he stretches the field as much, he's still an effective route runner, and he can get into small spaces.
He's a yak daddy, too.
Once he catches the ball, he can make plays. I thought Michael Gallup, near the end of the season, he looked as if he was starting to get healthy all the way back to being the player that they thought he was going to be when they let go of D-Hop. Cooper can be D-Hop.
They wish.
Yeah, when they got rid of him. But now we're going to see exactly how explosive Michael Gallup's going to be after he's had another season healthy.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a different player
I agree with that.
once he gets there. Another player that's going to get a lot of recognition right now, to me, is going to be Tyler Ferguson. That's my guy. Jake Ferguson. Jake Ferguson, the tight end, we've talked about him and what the expectations. Everybody, I know that the Cowboys drafted the tight end from Michigan very high. I still believe Jake Ferguson is going to be Dak's Dalton Schultz. And let's not forget, everybody talked about Dalton Schultz and, oh my goodness, I can't believe you're going to let him walk. Nobody knew who Dalton Schultz was at one point.
You're right about that.
He developed into that player. There was not one person that was like, man, I can't believe the Cowboys didn't draft Dalton Schultz earlier. Nobody said that. He became that player because he came in and worked. I believe the same thing is going to happen with Jake Ferguson. I've been high on the horse for him, and I believe that he's going to be one of those guys that we're going to be talking about year after year about how we saw his growth at that tight end position. So offensively, you brought up the offensive line earlier, what the mix and match and the combinations of what's going to happen, that's still going to be up for debate, and they're going to be fighting for that job. But the one position that the Cowboys, because I talked about tight end, I talked about wide receiver, the one position for the Cowboys that really has everyone alarmed is the running back position. If you were talking about running, Tony Pollard is out at practice. He's going through the walkthroughs on the OTAs, which is great because that means that he's ahead of schedule from what I was thinking when you start thinking about a torn ACL and having those surgeries and trying to come back from it. But medicine is different. Everything's a lot different nowadays, so guys can come back a little bit faster. But Malik Davis and Ronald Jones, are those the guys that you truly believe if you are going to be a running team? Are those three by committee enough for you to have success and when you need to close out ball games? Because that's what Zeke was. Zeke was that guy. You hand him the ball, he's going to fall forward, and you're going to get some positive yardage. And don't hit me on the Specs text line talk about the last play that Zeke had where he was the center and he got ran over. That's not Zeke's fault. He didn't know what was to expect right there. But I firmly believe that the Cowboys are going to have to find a player that is going to be able to carry the load late in the ball games. Because you brought up the conversation about Skip Pete talking about he's gassed. Tony Pollard's gassed. I'm done for the rest of the game. What? Because you had an explosive play? What kind of conditioning are you dealing with? And then put on top of the fact that he's coming back from an injury. What is he going to be like? What's his win going to be look like? And what is it going to take for the Cowboys? I still think the Cowboys are going to have a successful season. They're going to make the playoffs. They're probably going to win the division. I know Philly fans are thinking you're still going to be there, but we know it alternates every year in that division, regardless of how good your team is. That is the thing that I keep looking at. How are the Cowboys going to close out a lot of these games?
All right, good stuff there. We'll come back. We'll get into Off the Record. This apex predator has turned against mankind. We'll discuss it right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn, Rod Babers here. We all know that the car process, just trying to lease a car these days, can be really frustrating, trying to find the perfect car that you want for your family, for your situation, the right payment, the right price for your budget. That's also a challenge, and it can take you through a really, really rigorous process. It can take a really long time. It can be stressful. Well, my friends at Apple Leasing, they can take the stress out of that process for you, and they'll do all the work for you. Matter of fact, that's their business model. That's why they've been doing business here in Austin for almost 40 years. You tell Apple Leasing the price you want, the payment you want on the car that you want, and they will do the rest. And that's what we love about Apple Leasing, folks. And you'll love it too. And right now, all it takes is one phone call, 512-346-9977. You call them and you let them know exactly what kind of car you want, SUV, sedan, what kind of price you're willing to pay, and what kind of payment plan works out for your budget, and they will do all the work. Somebody who knows this firsthand is my man, Mike Harge.
That's right. not only do I know it firsthand, my entire family knows it firsthand because that's what we do. We get our cars from Apple Leasing. You never know what the situation in the market is going to dictate for you. That is why you go over to appleleasing.com. You find what you are looking for. You can even get a quote right there online, and they can walk you through the process. We all think that new cars and everything else that goes into it, the bells, the whistles, that's what you want. They can make sure that you do it. And a lot of times people are always thinking about, man, I want to get out of my lease. I'm still upside down on it. Don't worry about it. They will work out a plan for you, whether you need to go through financing or you need to talk to someone directly. Make sure you reach over and talk to those people at Apple Leasing. You can call 512-346-9977 or you can go to appleleasing.com. My man Scott Crossett always talks about he's leasing cars and making friends, and that is what you become when you get a car from Apple Leasing. appleleasing.com.
All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Here's a story that is right now seems to be stupefying some of the best scientific minds on the planet. Reports of killer whales appearing to try and capsize boats off the coast of Spain and Portugal have raised questions about the sea creatures and their motive behind these erratic actions. In the past, basically in the past couple of weeks, some of these incidents have gone viral. And the whales are seen near Spain and Portugal often in the summer. Last week, a group of killer whales broke the rudder and pierced the hull of a sailboat in the area. The crew of 4 on board needed to call authorities for help and were rescued from a report from Reuters said. The boat also was their boat was towed back to the port for repairs. Earlier this month, 3 orcas impacted a sailing yacht. The boat was so flooded after the incident that it could not be towed back. They say that this is just one of about 20 instances recorded in the area this month by the GTOA, a group that researches orcas in the region. They also said 52 interactions were recorded between the Strait of Gibraltar and northern Spain between July and November of 2020. The following year, 197 interactions happened, and in 2022, there were 207 interactions. So the interactions between these killer whales and these boats continue to increase, and it's not the boats changing their patterns and behavior, it's the whales. The whales are literally attacking the boats.
Yep.
Now, they can't. Lopez Fernandez, a biologist at the University of Aveiro in Portugal, who also works at the GTOA, he says that the origin of the behavior is unknown. He said there are some reports speculating that orcas are teaching each other this behavior and that they're doing it in fun, in jest. No, because there is a killer whale named Luca a few years back that was spotted off the coast of Vancouver, who separated from his pod and began to follow boats. He later learned to grab onto the rudders, to break them off, to disable the boats, to push the boats around. And he was actually seeking social interactions, what they found out. He learned he could prolong the interactions with these sailors by disabling the boats. And they would stick around and hang out with him and feed him and all this kind of stuff. So he would just do it to all the boats he saw. These damn animals are so smart. So now they're trying to figure out, because it is actually a hazard on the waters, why these animals, why these killer whales are attacking these boats. And the interactions, like I just said, they continue to increase. And they are, probably for the killer whales, they're not that dramatic. But for the sailors and the people who are on the boats, on these yachts, it is pretty traumatic for these incidents to leave them basically their boats are disabled in the middle of the ocean.
So this goes back to my long-standing thought process. I'm not going into the sea where those people live.
Those mammals?
Yes. That is their home. And they see you disrupting their home. They're coming to flip your boat. I saw video. I saw video of it.
Oh, yeah.
I literally saw video of it today. And I'm like, those are massive whales. Massive ones. They ain't baby whales.
No.
These are some big ones that are flipping you over.
The orcas.
Why am I trying to be a part of that, Rod? Why?
I would say these ships, these are either some people sailing out, obviously, recreationally. Some of them are actually boats that are fishing and doing other things like business, commerce, things of that nature. They're just being attacked by these pods, I believe you call them, of whales.
They seen what y'all been doing.
But I would say this about killer whales.
They're angry.
Killer
That's why
whales,
they're killer whales.
No, I'm with you on that. Killer whales are basically they are the Jimmy Butlers and the Nikola Jokic's of the sea. They get no respect, but dude, they hunt killer like great whites. Like they are the only predators to great whites. Great whites have one predator in the sea, and it's killer whales. They are the only creature in the sea that will go head to head with a great white shark. Every other creature decides, I'm turning the other way. Every other creature looks at the great white sharks like they're Debo. They run the other way.
Yeah.
An orca looks at the great white shark and starts smiling. Goes over there to punk him.
Yeah, I don't want none of that.
You don't want to mess with these things. And by the way, let's also point this out. Why aren't there more killer whale mascots? Are there any? If you are a high school, a new high school,
whalers. They're what are they?
You need to be a
Boston
killer
whaler?
whale. No, a
Boston.
killer whale. Killer whales are awesome.
SeaWorld kind of ruined it, I think.
No, not for the killer whale. The killer whales
I know,
are great.
but then people were like, well, we don't want to have the SeaWorld mascot.
They're abusing killer whales. No, killer whales are, like I said, they are the kings of the sea. Nobody messes with killer whales. They hunt other whales.
Yeah.
That's why they call them killer whales. Like they do. They hunt this for sport. So I'm telling you, other high schools out there, you want a cool mascot, killer whales is a cool mascot. Matter of fact, you could argue the sea, the ocean itself, is a great place to find underrated mascot material.
Yeah.
Jellyfish, sharks of all kind, killer whales,
Octopi.
Octopi. What the hell are we doing, high school? You go out with a bulldog and a damn. Come on, get
They're all
creative
tough.
here. There's so many different animal species on the planet. Hell, the Seattle Kraken, they made up one.
They did. The Kraken. That should have been the killer whales.
That should have been the killer whales.
They should have been the killer whales.
Come on, Seattle
Yeah.
killer whales.
Yeah.
Come on.
I like that, though. But isn't it a little late?
We got to get to. I don't know why. Maybe you got to be by the ocean. Maybe we go to Florida and California. You go coast, and they have more mascots associated with animals. We got none really associated with animals in the sea, I should say. But that's weird. We don't have any.
Mm-hmm.
We should have more of those.
I mean, we get the Dolphins,
That's true. But they're by the coast.
the Marlins,
The coast.
Tampa Bay Rays.
Coast. That's what I'm saying. You got to go to the. We should all embrace those animals of the
Yeah,
sea.
no one on the Gulf really.
The
On
third
Gulf's
coast.
not
Why
going
can't the
for it.
third coast do it? In H-Town, we didn't have many of those. I grew up in H-Town.
Man, the H-Town
Port
is
Arthur
not
don't got
having
none?
any of that.
Galveston doesn't have a lot of them. Come on.
Yeah, I'm not part of that.
The Commanders? There you go. Commanders, killer whales. Washington killer whales. Done. You're welcome.
I like it.
The Washington Whales. There you go. All right. Let's get into some NBA discussion on the other side. We'll review Game 5 win for Boston, forcing a Game 6 right here on Ball Don't Lie. Wonderful Underhorn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. By now, everyone knows my favorite tequila is Hot Cat Tequila. It's my go-to tequila. The cat stands for cinnamon, agave, and tequila, and the recipe just as simple, just as delicious, and just as brilliant. It's just cinnamon, agave, and tequila. That's why it's so light. That's why it's so smooth. It's a tequila lover's dream. And if you're not a fan of tequila, well, Hot Cat Tequila will turn you into a fan of tequila. It will turn any event into a party. Every party feels like a celebration. So celebrate and turn up with Hot Cat Tequila. And once you try Hot Cat, you'll never, ever go back to that old cinnamon whiskey or that cheap tequila you ordered rounds of when you were just trying to get the party started. Turn up your party with Hot Cat Tequila. It's the perfect way to pregame for all the big games, concerts, festivals, or any night on the town with family and friends. Hot Cat Tequila is best served cold for a quick round of shots or to sip on the rocks. So visit cattequila.com. That's cattequila.com to find a store near you that sells Hot Cat Tequila or to find a bar near you that serves Hot Cat Tequila. Toast and turn up with Hot Cat Tequila.
Welcome back to the 512 edition of Ball Don't Lie, where my man Patrick Davis gets us local artists that he has highlighted and lets you know exactly where you can check them out. Patrick, who is this?
This is Joe James, and he is playing Saturday at the Skylark Lounge.
Joe James. You played him before, haven't you?
I have played him before, yes.
I thought so.
This is a new track from him.
Yeah.
Came out, I believe, last week.
This is that little funky, bluesy type?
Funky bluesy, yeah.
Yeah, I
soul
remember
in there.
that. I remember that. Joe James, that's right. And where'd you say he's playing this weekend?
He's playing Saturday at the Skylark Lounge.
Skylark Lounge. I like that a lot. And I kind of know where that is, too. I mean,
Yeah.
been out there.
You been out
in
there?
that area before. Been out that area before. Well, let's get right into it. The Celtics come back and put pressure on the Miami Heat. Not too much pressure because Jimmy Butler still believes that his team has it. But as you look at last night's basketball game and what they were able to do right away, they came out, the Boston Celtics came out and punched them right in the mouth and made it very, very difficult for them as they decided if they were going to be able to play. 110 to 97. 110 to 97, the Boston Celtics went out there. And we were talking a lot about this. Boston believes that they have enough to turn this entire series around. They were down 3-0. Now it's back to 3-2. They're headed back to Miami. But Boston's got this energy about them that they honestly believe that they can be the one team that can break the jinx of being down 3-1 and be able to come back and win it all.
Yeah. Only 15 teams have forced a game 6 out of those 150 teams who were down 3-0. So, hell, they've already, kind of broken through some of the odds and defied the odds. I think the biggest factors in these two teams and really their performances in games 1 through 3 as opposed to games 4 and 5 is really the three-point line. I mean, the three-point line, it really has been the biggest difference. Boston now shooting 40% from three-point range, or at least 40% from three-point range in the last 2 games. Prior to that, I mean, they were actually shooting around 29% in the first 3 games of this series. And then the Miami Heat, first 3 games of the series, they're shooting around 47.8% from three-point range in the first 3 games, and they have cooled off significantly since then. And I think that's been one of the biggest factors in this matchup so far. And when the Celtics actually hit from three-point range, I mean, they're right now 38-2 when they hit at least 40% of their three-point shots. That has been the case the last 2 games. That's the reason that they led this entire game, never trailed not one time in the game. And even in the second half, they led in the second half by at least 15 points for most of the second half until some garbage time scores for the Miami Heat. So they have all the momentum. There's no doubt about it. All the momentum right now is on the side of the Celtics. And the Miami Heat, man, even the 23 three-point attempts that they took, I believe 4th fewest in the game this season.
Yep.
Fewest since the All-Star break.
The largest lead of the game was 24 points at one point. It was just they were not aggressive. Miami was not aggressive, and Boston was very aggressive. And then you get 2 guys, Derek White and Marcus Smart, be able to go out there and go 10 of 14 from three-point land between those 2, going 10 of 14. That is a big, big change for what they were doing between those 2 guys in the backcourt.
I'm with you. And you go look at it, no Gabe Vincent for Miami, so that hurt them initially because he's been really productive in this particular series, averaging almost 18 points per game, 58% from the field, and shooting 50% from three-point range. So that was a big factor too. And, I think the Eric Spoelstra quote is, "We are him and he is us," talking about how this team has adopted the personality of Jimmy Butler. And he's right. Jimmy Butler only had 10 shots. He wasn't aggressive at all. And the team was not aggressive at all. He ended up with 14 points. He was 5 of 10, but only 3 isolation plays. When Jimmy is isolating, that means Jimmy's aggressive. When Jimmy's not ISOing out, then Jimmy's not trying to be aggressive. Jimmy's in attack mode. He wants to ISO guys, and then he wants to eviscerate them one-on-one. He did not do that. He had 3 isolation plays the entire game. This guy that was averaging over 18 isolation plays in the first 4 games of the series.
Yeah, that's Jimmy's style. I mean, but for me too, he wasn't that guy where he was taking over the game. I'm talking about loose rebounds. He's normally a guy that you would always find around the ball. There's another guy that's playing defense, physically playing some good defense where he's impeding their progress to the basket, but he's also stealing the ball. He wasn't doing that. He just seemed like at one point he was like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and chalk this one up. I mean, he kept fighting, but he wasn't playing like Jimmy Butler, and that's what I was hoping for, and I kept talking about it. I kept saying, hey, this is where Jimmy's going to shut them down, might go for 60. Nope, he did not. He did not. And that was the problem that I saw with this team. Now, here's the other part of it. He gives us the information that he believes that they're going to be able to win this, but most importantly, he needs those guys on the bench to believe that as well. When you look at what Kyle Lowry was able to do, nothing. Kyle Lowry was somebody that was an integral part of the success in the previous rounds. He didn't give them anything. We were talking about Max Strus and Bam Adebayo. Where are those other players that were giving them some love early? They weren't all being the same at that level either.
Yeah, Bam Adebayo probably had one of his worst games. He had 16 points, but he had 6 turnovers.
Yeah.
And as a team, Miami ended up with 16 total turnovers. Bam Adebayo had 6 of them. 9 of those 16 turnovers the team had were in the second half. But more importantly, 13 live ball turnovers. And the reason that's big, Miami having 13 live ball turnovers help you get out in transition because the Celtics in the first 4 games of the series, they were actually minus 14 in live ball turnovers. So they were actually getting whipped in live ball turnovers. Now the script has flipped, and it's been for live ball turnovers and for 3-point shots and for the 3-point effectiveness and efficiency. Both of those stats have flipped in favor of the Celtics in the last 2 games, and the Miami Heat were dominating the 3-point shooting and dominating in live ball turnover differential in the first 3 games. So somehow Miami's got to find a way to flip that back, and that's going to be tough.
Do you think they can? Because that's the other part of it. I sit here and I'm listening, and I believe in them. That's why I keep saying, I believe this is over. I believe this is over. But am I starting? Because if you watched the game last night and you looked at their bench as the game was coming to an end, well, it was even halfway through the fourth quarter, their bench looked defeated. They looked perplexed. They were like, how is this happening? And we're not getting, again, you're not getting those second chance buckets. You're not getting the loose ball rebounds. You were talking about the turnovers. Well, they're not even getting to those balls that they were once doing. So that's the part that I was looking at, and I was looking at that bench. And I still believe in Spoelstra, and I believe that Jimmy will have his crew ready to go. But as a player, do you now start getting that doubt in your mind? Is this happening to us? Are we going to be that one team? Are you thinking about all this stuff? Or are you like, you know what? One bad game, I'm good. Because the other games, I mean, you brought it up yesterday that some of these games aren't even close.
No.
In the losses. Over in the other one in the West, those losses were close. These, when a team loses, they lose.
Yeah, it's been, you're right. It's been going back and forth, but you're right. When a team wins, they win in commanding fashion.
Yeah.
And Celtics have had double-digit leads in 4 of the 5 games. Think about that. 4 of the 5 games, they've had double-digit leads. I gave the stat.
That's why they keep getting favored.
Yeah, I gave the stat yesterday. The Celtics in the regular season were 13 games better than the Miami Heat were in the regular season. That's the largest differential for the 151 teams that have been down 3-0. Yeah. Miami had the worst regular season win percentage for a team with a 3-0 series lead in a best-of-7 series. So we have just not seen this before, and I wonder now if we're starting the regression to the mean where you had, Miami shooting 48% from 3-point range. They were playing really, really well, playing at an extremely high level. Jimmy Butler was playing like the best player in the playoffs.
He
When you're
was.
talking about
Savage.
Jokic or LeBron, he was like the best player in the playoffs. And now Jimmy Butler is still elite, in my opinion. He still can obviously, take the team and put the team on his back. But he had his lowest point total of the playoffs with 14 points.
Yeah.
That, like I said, he had 3 isolation plays the entire game. This guy's averaging 18. That was a different Jimmy.
Yeah.
Texas
That wasn't
says-
him. That wasn't him.
That wasn't him. Texas says, y'all sound like a Seinfeld episode. I know. We talk a lot about Jimmy. We haven't said Jimmy this much since the 49ers were in the Super Bowl versus Kansas City, and we kept talking about Jimmy Garoppolo. And we just said Jimmy. But now I think we say Jimmy G with him. With Jimmy Butler, it's just Jimmy. Okay, can we hear from Jimmy?
Yeah,
Can
we
hear from
need
Jimmy?
to.
This is Jimmy Butler in the postgame being asked about losing the last 2 games and how the Miami Heat are going to bounce back. Here's Jimmy.
Jimmy, your guys are still leading 3-2. You have a home game to close it out. What's the sense after being up 3-0, then losing 2 in a row by a combined 30 points in the locker room from you? What's the mindset now where the series stands?
We just got to play better, start the games off better on the starters, make it more difficult for them. They're in a rhythm since the beginning of the game, but we're always going to stay positive, knowing that we can and we will win this series, and we'll just have to close it out at home.
Jimmy, to follow up on that, why is it that your confidence and the group's confidence remains so high given the way the last 2 games unfolded?
Because the last 2 games are not who we are. It just happened to be that way, and we stopped playing defense halfway because we didn't make shots that we want to make. But that's easy correctable. We just got to come out and play harder from jump. So, like I always say, it's going to be all smiles. We're going to keep it very, very, very consistent, knowing that we are going to win the next game.
There you go. Twice he called his shot. Twice
Yeah, he did.
said we are going to win the next game. I believe Jimmy. I can't.
You in on it?
Yeah, I'm not going to doubt Jimmy like that, man. Jimmy, playoff Jimmy, the Butler, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah, the Butler did it.
I don't think he's ever right. I don't think he's guaranteed a win in the playoffs that I can remember. That guy with the competitive sickness, people are now, basically there's a conspiracy theory that Michael Jordan's lost son is Jimmy Butler because he's showing that type of will and that type of testicular fortitude on the court. I'll go with Jimmy Butler in Game 6. Plus, I mean, history and just the numbers on your side at 150 teams have been down 3-0, and none of them ever in NBA history have been able to come back and win those series.
That is the part right there.
I think we know what it is. Jimmy wanted to have a big party Saturday night in Miami.
I told you.
And he was like, you know what? We can't do that. If we do this now, then I got to start resting up. But if we win the game on Saturday night, coach is going to let us go out and party it up on Saturday night in Miami. So I just got to I just sandbagging for a couple games.
Memorial weekend.
Oh, that's a big weekend.
Folks in town.
Okay. All right.
Hey, what you doing this weekend? Are we going to be in Miami? Well, we're going to have a party with Hemi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first theory was that he wanted to win it in Boston
Yep.
to throw it in the
their
face of all the Boston
In their
fans.
face.
And now, after having his lowest output offensively of the postseason, we believe now he just wants to party in South Beach. And if you win on Saturday, then coach is not going to get on you for having a party on Saturday. But if you win during the weekend, a party on Saturday, coach will be like, come on, Jim.
Yeah,
that's
you went
not-
on Thursday, and then you show up to practice on Sunday all hungover.
Yeah, it's a good
He's
point.
like, oh, man.
Okay.
No,
Well, I guess we got to find out if he's actually having a party in Miami.
Well, I mean, he ain't going to tell nobody until it's over.
Party at this club.
Yeah, exactly.
He'll be on the floor saying it. No, I don't just. Listen, I think that the Miami
Insiders
Heat
are already telling him, hey, guys, Jimmy said that there's going to be a party here. He had to get clearance, so we already know. Tell your boys.
No one tell Duncan Robinson.
There's always that one guy you don't want to come. How about this little factoid? The Heat and the Celtics have played each other in 3 of the 4 past Eastern Conference Finals. So 3 of the past 4 Eastern Conference Finals, these 2 teams have faced off. And the Celtics won every Game 5 by exactly 13 points. It was a 13-point margin in each of the previous Game 5s when they met up in the Eastern Conference Finals in the last 4 years.
121
121 to 108, 93 to 80, and 110 to 97. And Heat went on to win Game 6 of each of those two.
Already.
So take that how you will. I don't know what that means. That's a weird, freaky stat, though. Okay. There's actually we got a couple. I got this Jaylen Brown sound we should play real quick. It won't take a little time, but it does show you how, I'm going to say cocky, but it shows you how confident that the Boston Celtics are starting to become. Now they've made this a series again at 3-2 after being down 3-0. Here is Jaylen Brown in the postgame.
Tonight we were the tougher playing team. We set the tone from start to finish, and we had a great team win. We hit shots, and they let us get two. So don't let us get another one.
Don't let him get another one.
Come on, man.
He's right, though.
He feeling that.
Don't let us get another one.
Don't let us get another one.
He's right, because they get another one, then I don't know if I can pick him. If they win Game 6, if Boston wins Game 6 and 3 in a row,
yeah,
they haven't won. I gotta look at my notes. Boston hadn't won 3 in a row in a while. I remember they hadn't won 3 in a row in the playoffs. They hadn't won 3 straight in the playoffs yet. So it'll be the first time they've won 3 straight in the playoffs if they win Game 6, and the last time they won 4 straight before the All-Star break.
Well, here's the thing, too. You got to remember, this is a team that at the very beginning of the year was one of the best teams in basketball. We saw that. They went on runs. They went on runs. They went on runs. They finally figured it out. They understood each other's role. They got on their run. Well, now they're trying to find that groove again, and it is something to pay attention to because, like you said, this has been convincing beatdowns.
They know something.
Yes.
They believe they found something with this Miami team, and hopefully Miami can have the bounce back. But Jimmy Butler guaranteeing a win. Mm-hmm. I love it. That's great
Joe
drama.
Willie Namath style.
That's exactly what you feel like,
Wasn't
right?
that game played in Miami, too?
Oh, that's a good question.
Wasn't that Super Bowl
That's
played down
You might
south?
be right about that. That's a nice little factoid you got
it might
there.
be.
Good job, Harge, on that one.
Could be way off.
Could be. Hey, you sound right.
I did.
You should just say it confidently.
I did. I tried to.
Yeah, no, only Craig Way would call you out. Okay, we're going to get to the break here. There are some rankings that I wanted to get to.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll get to it in the 6 o'clock because the DeAndre Hopkins story is basically going to take up that entire segment. So I want to get to the GM rankings, head coach rankings, and quarterback rankings from 3 different publications, and we'll discuss where the Cowboys and the Texans rank on these listings. But also, we'll talk about who are at the top of these rankings and what we can learn from that. All that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie. Wonderful number. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. We love this city. What's not to love? It's a beautiful city. The aesthetic appeal has always appealed to me, and sure, I'm not the only one, but thanks to no small part to the skilled craftsmanship of Ironworkers Local 482, who've been helping shape this great city since 1935, this city continues to impress. Anytime somebody comes to Austin, they remark about how beautiful it is and how lovely it is, and yeah, how they would like to move here. That's because of our good friends at Ironworkers Local 482. You see the labors of their love all over this great city in iconic landmarks like DKR Stadium and the Pennybacker Bridge. And as our city continues to grow and thrive, so do our good friends at Ironworkers Local Union 482. They don't go to the office, they build it. So if you're looking for an exciting new career, something new, something fresh, something that will challenge you, you can become a member of Ironworkers Local 42 and accept the challenge of becoming the best version of yourself while helping shape Austin's economic development. Right now, they're hiring 3,000 people right now in Central Texas for a huge project, and you can become a valued member of Ironworkers Local 482 and take pride in the type of teamwork and craftsmanship that help shape the future of our great city. So maximize your potential and be your best self today. Simply apply at ironworkers482.org. That's ironworkers482.org. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It's time for Raj Rant of the Day. And I got a couple of rankings that I want to get to. Different publications came up with rankings for quarterback, for head coach, and for general manager in the NFL. And I want to get you guys' thoughts and just kind of break down some of these lists a little bit and talk about where the Texans and the Cowboys are on these lists. Let's start with the top of the Holy Trinity, the Holy Pyramid of the NFL, as I call it. You're going to get your GM at the top of the pyramid, then you got your head coach, and you need your quarterback. That's if you figure out that Holy Trinity right there, that's 80% of the work to end up being a competitive football team. But you got to figure that out. And that's as an owner, that's your job as an owner. So let's start with the GMs. All right, start with the GMs first, and then we'll work our way to head coach and then to quarterback. All right, so where do you think they have Jerry Jones, Harch, on this list of all 30? I think they have 31 GMs on here because, some guys are owners and GMs. So, yeah. And then they have the new hires. They didn't rank all the new hires, so I think they ranked 30 of them because they didn't want to rank the new hires either. And by the way, y'all know who at 30? Nick Caserio.
I was finna say, it was got to be your guy, right?
Nick Caserio's at 30. And you know what? I don't blame him for that. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm not mad at him for putting Nick Caserio at 30. Yeah, he's got to prove that he's worthy of being ranked higher than that. Listen, Nick Caserio is the only GM in history. Remember, I told you guys this. He's the only GM in the history of the NFL to be allowed to keep his job after firing 2 one-and-done coaches.
Yep.
Every other GM in history who has had 2 back-to-back one-and-done coaches, they're also fired. Why wouldn't they be? You're obviously bad at picking head coaches. But for Nick Caserio, it is a little different. I get it. I'm a Caserio fan, but I will admit he has kind of stumbled and bumbled his way through the first couple of years here. And this draft that he went all in on, he's got to hit hard. And if he don't hit, he gone. He gone.
Yeah.
Gone, baby, gone.
Yeah. Gone, baby, gone.
Gone, baby, gone.
I like that. And I agree with you. And you asked me where I thought Jerry Jones would be. I would say somewhere in the middle of the pack.
Okay.
I would say.
Give me a number.
I'm just gonna go 15.
All right, Patrick, what you think? Jerry Jones, GM rankings. Where would you rank him, or what do you think they ranked him? This is NBC Sports Edge, by the way.
So, with Caserio being that low, I think they're going to count him, and I think they're going to look at it as they're going to not give him credit for Will McClay and Stephen Jones. So I think they're going to put him at 25.
Oh, that's really low.
Just because people hate Jerry Jones.
Yeah, they do. That's a good point. And they did say Jerry. They did not say Will McClay. They say Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones. But you're right. Will McClay is the personnel man. And
so he should be higher.
They should be. They're at 12.
Okay. So honestly, I was good. I was at 15.
The Cowboys should be in the top 10 here. I know this sounds crazy for people.
I don't disagree recently.
Yes.
If we're saying the last couple of years, I'm with you.
Their reputation is hurting them, but if you look at since Will McClay's taken over, they draft the best of any team in the NFL in the first round the last 10 years, right? And they're the most homegrown team in the NFL because they're overly reliant on the draft to build their team, and they've been really damn good at the draft. And a lot of your job as GM is the draft. That's a ton of your job as GM.
That is a lot of your job.
And to win games, and the Cowboys have been winning games. I mean, they're winning double-digit games. So they got him at 12. I do think that's fair. They got, like I said, the Texans. They got Nick Caserio at 30. He should be right there at 30 until he proves that he is basically this past draft. If he proves that those moves that he made were savvy moves and going to pay dividends for the Texans, then he'll rise fast up those rankings. But guys, there's a chance those moves don't pay off. And if either one of those guys turns out to be a huge bust, especially the Will Anderson pick, that's going to come back to hunt him.
Well, and if either one of those is a big bust and they have a bad year, meaning they lose that pick next year and you got a bust and you now lost a number 2, number 3 pick in the draft, then it's like, well, so now you hurt your chances next year. You missed on this one.
Screwed up the tank, so that's why you didn't get it. And this all goes back to Caserio.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm with that. That's why it's big, man. Remember, according to ESPN Analytics, approximate value-based draft pick, their valuation tools, the Texans and Caserio committed the second biggest overpayment of draft capital for a non-quarterback in the past 20 drafts.
And that was for Will Anderson?
Yeah, that's when they traded up. Only Julio Jones trade was bigger. A bigger overpayment for a non-quarterback, I should say, for a non-quarterback. Okay. So those are, and by the way, top of the GMs, y'all want to guess? Everybody can guess who the number one GM is.
We will say, all reports were they wanted Will Anderson and then traded back up for C.J. Stroud, but because they had to draft C.J. Stroud first because the payment was going to be higher if they didn't.
That's true.
Technically, you could say it may have been for a quarterback. They just had to do it in a 2-3 way, but
they had to do it in a Texans way.
Yes.
Where it kind of made sense. Howie Roseman, top GM in the NFL. None of us disagree. I mean, he's fantastic. They got Brett Veach at number 2 for the Chiefs.
I will take that.
I've often said that. They got John Lynch and the 49ers at 3. And you know why that is? That does make sense because they don't even have a quarterback and yet have still been one of the best teams in the NFC.
To the Super Bowl.
They've been changing quarterbacks already and still getting there. They got number 4, Brandon Beane for the Bills. They got Duke Tobin from the Bengals at number 5.
He's been having great drafts.
That's true.
And they built the program.
Les Snead from the Rams at 6. They got Belichick for the Patriots at 7. Brian Gutekunst for the Packers at 8. John Schneider for the Seahawks is too low. He at 9. He's too low.
I would agree
draft
with
he just had last year.
And I'm still trying to figure out why is Belichick still up there.
And they just won the Russell Wilson trade, and it ain't even close.
Right.
Give that man his flowers. Belichick's there because Belichick has won 5-6 Super Bowls. 5 Super Bowls, right?
But he's been pedestrian without Brady.
Hey, man, it don't matter. When you hit, you hit.
Yeah, but I'm like, are we going hot as now?
Yeah, we are. All right, let's go to the rankings of the head coaches here next, and then we'll get to the quarterback. So, and that was by NBC Sports. Says the head coach rankings are by the 33rd team, 32 team. They're the 33rd team. You get it? And they're like a kind of an NFL based website. And this is Ross Tucker. Who you guys know about. He does work for NFL.com. He ranked all the head coaches in the NFL. At the top, he's got Andy Reid. And he's got Belichick at 2. So to your point, Harge, Belichick's still getting props.
That's what
Whether you like it or not. They're like, hey, man, you got that many Super Bowls, you're going to stay at the top of the coaching ladder no matter what.
Yeah.
But Andy Reid is at the top of his profession right now. He is the top coach.
And he's got the top quarterback, so that's going to keep you up there.
They got Mike Tomlin at 3. They got Sean Payton at 4 for the Broncos. Nick Sirianni at 5. Kyle Shanahan at 6. I probably would have put Shano ahead of Nick Sirianni.
Well, I want to see what Sirianni does this year.
Yeah, exactly. And they got Sean McVay at 7. I'd put Sean McVay and Shano ahead of Sirianni.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Especially, I'm with you, Harge. If you're going off what is recent and recency bias a little bit, then drop Belichick down.
Exactly. If that's what we're doing.
Well, recency, Belichick drops down then.
My point exactly.
So, it's a little mixed
We're
up
also going to see a lot with Sirianni when losing an OC and a DC.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, let's see how good of a coach he really is this year where he has to go out there and go shop for new groceries.
I like Nick Sirianni for the record. I think he's going to be great.
I think he might got credit, too, because of the downfall of Frank Reich. I think they give him credit for some of that offense as well.
That's a good point, too. Brian Dable is at 8. Love me some Brian Dable. He's a damn good ball coach. Pete Carroll at 9. Pete Carroll probably should be a little bit higher.
After the Russell Wilson, Geno Smith thing, you bump him up.
Right? He avoided the Russell Wilson
He traded off Russell Wilson, who everybody was like, well, I guess they're in rebuild mode, and then made the playoffs.
And then they had one of the best rookie classes in recent memory. So they started a ton of rookies. I'm with you. Pete Carroll should be higher. They got Doug Peterson at 10. I love me some Doug Peterson, though. I'm a big fan. I think that's right around where he should be. Yep. They got John Harbaugh too low. He's at 11. John Harbaugh should be in the top 10. John Harbaugh's a top 10 coach in the league. That's crazy.
For sure.
Yeah, they got Zach Taylor at 12, Mike Vrabel at 13. They got Mike McDaniel, though, at 14. I like Mike McDaniel, too, though. I do think he's going to be a hell of a coach, man. Yeah. He's just cocky and arrogant about it.
They just had injuries.
They just had and now that defense, they got Vic Fangio.
Ooh. Yeah, that's what's
scary.
That's going to be
scary.
You
just let him, and he could just be like, all right, I don't have to worry about the defense.
I got a defensive head coach. He's a former head coach, too.
I got a head coach that's running my defense.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's a scary proposition. I would say this about head coaches, and I've always had a formula. This is a formula I've had for probably 10 years now, that if I was a GM, how would I hire a coach, right? Where would I start? What would be my criteria if I was a GM? And I came up with the Belichickian theory, looking at Bill Belichick, even though I know he's fallen off a little bit. But what made Bill Belichick so unique was that Bill Belichick had expertise at the NFL level, coaching every phase of the game, offense, defense, and special teams. Special teams coach was a wide receiver coach for Detroit, coached defense, of course, and I do believe that gave him a more encompassing knowledge of how to construct a team from the ground up and from the top down. Help you coach the coaches, and it just helps you have a, like I said, more expansive, informed opinion on how to build a football team, because you know about all three phases. There are three phases in the game, and yet most coaches only have expertise in one. Most of them have expertise in one. When I look down NFL now, I look at coaches who fit my Belichickian theory, a coach who has coached at the college or the pro level in more than one phase of the game. I got 9 of them. Arthur Smith, John Harbaugh, Shane Steichen now, Bill Belichick, Brian Daboll, Robert Saleh, Nick Sirianni, Mike Tomlin, Pete Carroll. Disproportionately, the best coaches in the NFL are Belichickian. They only account for 9 of the 32 coaches, but there are 6 Super Bowl winning head coaches in the league right now. 4 of them are Belichickian. 4 of them. 3 of the top 5 on this list, 5 of the top 10 on this list, 6 of the top 11. Only 3 of the 9 are outside the top 11. The Belichickian coach is the way to go. And I know it doesn't always work out that way.
I was just about to say,
Doesn't
because
always
we
work
just
out.
saw Patricia and Joe Judge be a part of that, where they were learning to coach another position.
I'm not saying it always works,
Not
but
very good for them.
it works more often than the other way. And disproportionately, I'm giving you the numbers, they're disproportionately more successful than their peers who are not Belichickian. Ain't even close. So for GMs who don't have any recipe or any criteria for how to hire a coach, I'm giving you a place to start at least. Start there.
We can say Bobby Sloak, the new offensive coordinator for the Texans,
Also,
started as a defensive assistant.
Yes.
So that is somebody
Yeah.
who falls into that range.
Yeah.
So
it helps you build game plans.
Yes.
If you only seen defense your whole life, then how are you going to build a game plan and construct a game plan on how to stop an offense? You know nothing about offense. It helps you to have some experience on knowing how the other side wants to exploit and how they want to attack you. And these coaches, they know. They can go into defensive meeting room, go into special meeting room, and actually know what the hell they're talking about, as opposed to being ignorant to the entire phase of the game.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, it don't lie. The numbers don't lie. They right there in front of you. Let's get to the quarterback list here. Okay, so the quarterbacks were ranked by Pro Football Focus. You know, they do their thing. They got Patrick Mahomes, number 1. Got Josh Allen, number 2. They got Joe Burrow, number 3. They got Justin Herbert, number 4. Aaron Rodgers, number 5. Lamar Jackson, 6. Jalen Hurts at 7. Trevor Lawrence at 8. Kirk Cousins, 9. And Dak Prescott at 10. They do have Dak Prescott as a top 10 quarterback. As I go down the list to see where the Texans' Davis Mills would be. C.J. Stroud. Sorry, they got C.J. Stroud at 30. So that makes sense, though. They got all the rookies at really low, so they don't know.
Wait, so
what the
who's
rookies are
11 though?
11 is Tua.
Okay.
They got Tua right behind Dak Prescott.
Matthew Stafford is 12, and Deshaun Watson is 13.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to Dak being considered to be a top 10 quarterback. The problem with Dak right now, and I don't think it's a big, huge issue, is and more so than the turnovers, Dak is not turnover prone. You go look at Dak's numbers throughout the years. He's been a very, very low-risk, high-reward quarterback. I don't think last year is an indicator of that changing. I am worried about his inability to close, though. There were times in those games in that game last year against the 49ers, and we've seen it even in previous years in the playoffs, where Dak is given the ball with plenty of time left on the clock and the game within one score, and he's asked to put his cape on and go down there and put his team in the end zone in playoff time, in clutch time, and he just didn't do it.
Yeah, he's going to get a lot. He's going to be
Just
an
didn't do it.
opportunity right now because of the fact of the running game and what Mike McCarthy was talking about. I've talked about it numerous times. You brought it up. When you do play action, he's a lot better. When you have ability to make it look like a run, he's better. When you have him just straight dropping back, it's a problem. So they're going to have to figure out what is going to work best. As you said in the numbers, it's right there for you. Go with the numbers, go and see exactly what he's doing, and then make the move from there. But now here's the other part of it. You've got somebody that can stretch the field with Brandon Cooks. You got somebody that can be that possession receiver for you, CeeDee Lamb. And then you also have Gallup, where they've already said they're going to use him in multiple ways. You bring in a Deuce Vaughn. You got Kevontae Turpin, and you got Tony Pollard. All you got to do is get the ball in the playmaker's hand and give them yak yards where you don't have to make all the big plays, and we'll see what happens from there.
One thing I have always said about Dak, because I'm a big Dak fan, most people listening are not necessarily Dak fans, but I'm a Dak fan. But I will admit, and I've said this before, about my quarterbacks, when I pick out a quarterback, or just like if I'm a GM, right, trying to hire a head coach, I gave you my formula. My formula for picking out quarterbacks, I got to find something in your skill set that separates what is your X-Man ability. What do you do as well, if not better than everybody else, all of your peers? And I'll admit, when you look down this list, Patrick Mahomes, ultimate comeback kid. I mean, his ability to just kind of go thermonuclear. No lead is safe with that dude. He's a supernova. Josh Allen, arguably best dual threat quarterback in the NFL, equally dangerous as a runner and a passer. Joe Burrow, probably the most accurate quarterback in the NFL, and he's got a ton of the clutch gene. Aaron Rodgers got the golden arm. Lamar Jackson, most explosive athlete to ever play quarterback. Jalen Hurts, he's like the ultimate leader, right? He's got that dog in him, everybody always says, right? And maybe the same thing about Dak Prescott. Maybe it's leadership and intangibles with him. But when you look at his physical skill set, there isn't any elite quality to build around, which is why I think the Cowboys are now regressing back to, let's run the ball. Let's run the ball. That's where we should be. Dak is a quality quarterback. I'm not saying he's not. But the elite trait that separates him from everybody else, what's his X-Man ability? Name it. It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
I don't know if he has a serious liability in his skill set, but what's the strength? What's the one thing that he does better than everybody else? That's what makes you part of an elite quarterback, is figuring out what that is. And I don't know if the Cowboys have really figured it out, or if cultivated, or if he has that. And maybe now that's why we're going into a more well-rounded formula for Dak, which is, let's get back to running the football, play action passes, as Harge mentioned. Let's get back to him not having so much of a burden to carry this offense week after week. Defense, run game, ball control, that's how we win games. Dak, it contributes to that. It's not built around Dak.
Right.
So we don't need big Dak energy every weekend, because you can't count on big Dak energy every weekend.
As long as he continues to win and put up good numbers in that division, you're going to have a chance to get to that next level. But to your point, you have to be able to win at the next level so people get off your back.
Get off your back. Someone said, I would call throwing interceptions a weakness. Dak, his turnover rate increased this year exponentially, or this past season.
Yep.
But guys, go look since he's been in the NFL. He's actually one of the least turnover-prone quarterbacks in the league. I would not lie to you guys about numbers. You know that. I'll give you the numbers next segment, but he's not one of those guys. If he does it again this year, then something's off. All right, he's regressing. He's going off the tracks, but he's not been that player. I don't expect him this year to all of a sudden change his character as a quarterback.
Not at all.
All right, we come back. We'll get into a little bit more off the record right here on Ball Don't Lie. 104.9 The Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a 5-1-2 Friday. That's my man Patrick, plays jams from local bands and artists. Very talented human beings that you have a chance to catch live right here in the ATX. Who we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is Easy Compadre, and they are playing Saturday at the Far Out Lounge, part of a benefit for the Sims Foundation.
Oh, I like that. There you go. Always for a good cause. That's always a great thing. If you missed any part of the suggestions for 512 Friday, just go to hornfm.com, and Patrick posts them up there for you. You can always be a part of the show. Specs Text Line is the best place to do it, 512-337-3776. We don't have a ton of time here for Off the Record, but I'll just share a couple of stories that I thought were interesting. So Ja Morant, we saw that he decided to leave social media in a very dramatic fashion. They actually did a welfare check on him. They were so worried about Ja Morant and his dramatic exit from social media. Well, the Nike did indeed release the Ja Morant signature shoe. Apparently, the Ja One Hunger.
Mm-hmm. It's a pretty nice looking shoe.
They sold out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Within minutes.
Yeah. Immediately.
You know what it reminds me of? When rappers go to jail.
Yeah, all their albums go up in sales.
Or like an artist dies or gets shot or something.
Yeah.
Like that drama that's associated with it, and sometimes the tragedy associated with it. Unfortunately, it ends up increasing the marketability of the star. And this has actually increased his marketability because people believe he's a troubled yet talented soul.
And I don't know if it's his marketability so much as everybody's like, oh, this could very easily be his only signature shoe.
Oh, that's fair too.
We think this could be a collector's item because we think they could pull it off the shelf, so they could never re-release things like this. They could take it away because he's a guy that could get himself in enough trouble that Nike's like, all right, we got to step away from you. So if we have the only Ja Morant ever, then it's worth more money. So let's go buy them all and then put them in a box in our closet.
I guess the same thing happens like when a rapper goes to jail or gets shot or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
You're like,
you
yeah.
know what? The
I
battle's
just
gonna
downloaded
increase.
some of that music right now.
Exactly.
It's always what's the episode of Seinfeld where he's hoping that the guy gets sick and dies?
With the
because he has his
artwork,
art.
the triangles.
Yeah.
You're right. That's exactly. I mean,
That's what it is.
Hopefully, it is not that, but that's kind of what it reminds me of. I should say. Hopefully, it is not that at all. Hopefully, everything with Ja Morant works out, and we still don't know about Ja Morant's suspension.
Right.
Adam Silver's really contemplating this thing.
He is.
He's definitely going to suspend him long enough where he's going to miss too much time to qualify for the All-NBA team.
Because that's what happened this year.
Yeah.
Exactly. It happened this year. It's definitely going to happen next year.
Yeah.
What is that? If he misses, 18 games?
Yeah, because he was only suspended, 8 this year? But he had injuries.
He had injuries,
He
too.
had
so
injuries part of
and
that,
that's
too.
part of load management is going. Every player in the NBA is going to miss 10 games for load management.
Yeah.
So you base it on 72. He's definitely going to miss another 12 from the suspension.
Yep.
Easily 12 to 15. He's not going to make All NBA just because of that next year.
Strong possibility of it.
Some more money.
Yep. And more money, more action.
Man, that's crazy.
A lot of it.
Yeah. All right. So
He's
that's
going to post more vague booking. I didn't know you could vague book on Instagram, but he found a way to do that. You know when you get that, when you see somebody post something, and you were like, look, I don't know you well enough to ask, but I just want to know. I don't want to talk to you about this. I don't want to be a helpful hand at all. I just want to watch the drama from afar. But could you just tell me? Because you're like, some friends are real backstabbers, and you know who you are. Like, none of us know who this is.
Nobody knows.
Tell us.
Yeah.
Say
real
name
cryptic.
names.
At least give us a better clue. Your clues are terrible.
What happened? What happened?
Yeah, I'm with you. People always do that. I can't stand it. I'm always interested though, and I'm like, I'm not going to
You're like,
inquire.
what is it?
I'm not
What
going to inquire.
is it?
Yeah.
It's like a trailer for a show, and you're like, I'm not going to watch the show. Just tell me what happens.
Is there ever somebody close to you? You go, is that me?
Yeah.
Is that me? Is that about me?
I'm like, is he talking
They're
to
like,
me?
when like real friends show up, fake ones don't. I'm like, is that me? Hold up, I haven't called in a while. Is that me? Am I the fake friend?
Did you not see me? I was there. I just left earlier.
I liked your tweet. Was that not enough?
buddy.
Yeah. Everything good your way?
Hey, everything good? By the way, I'm asking this. Please do not tell me your real problems. Don't want to deal with that.
Right, don't open up to me. Just want to make sure everything's okay. All right, we'll come back. One more hour left. We will examine the DeAndre Hopkins release and talk about what teams are going to be in the DeAndre Hopkins sweepstakes. All that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn.
Now it's time to be part of the Premier Rugby Sevens action. You could come out and party with the PR Sevens for the Eastern Conference kickoff on Saturday, June 17th at Q2 Stadium. PR Sevens, as it's known for short, is rugby for an American audience featuring predominantly North American player pool and competing in some of the best entertainment facilities across the country. The Team Texas dominates the pitch like a wild herd of Mustangs. Their shield flashes warning colors of sandstone orange and slate gray like the mighty rock formations in the vast Texas canyons. Catch all the professional rugby at its best. You can see the team headliners, locals, and the men's and women's Team Texas battle for a spot in the championship. Don't miss our ultimate fan fest experience with fun, games, drinks, music, and so much more. And it's all happening at Q2 Stadium, Saturday, June 17th. You can get your tickets today at pr7s.com. That is pr7s.com.
Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. 512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie. That's when Patrick takes jams from local bands and artists, very talented human beings, and gives you the info on how you can catch these very talented human beings live and in person right here in the ATX. Who we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is the Peterson Brothers, and they are playing Saturday at the ABGB.
The ABGB. I think I know what it is. I've seen the sign.
It is right there off Old Torf and South of Mars.
Yes.
Okay, yes, I've seen the sign. I can't really place it, but I can see the
There's
sign.
a studio across the street from it and all that other
okay.
Yes,
stuff.
you can go get some beer,
Beer garden.
beer,
yes.
pizza, and music.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, those are three awesome things.
Yes.
Why wouldn't you want to hang
And
out?
those are
at ABGB?
3 Austin things.
Yeah,
There you go.
well
There you go.
done there.
There you
Good
go.
stuff there. Good stuff there.
You got it right there.
All right, you can hit us up on the Specs text line 512-337-3776. We'll get to the DeAndre Hopkins story here, but we'll get to you got to talk some Dak Prescott here because I just brought up Dak Prescott in those quarterback rankings, and the Specs text line just lit up with Dak Prescott haters, but also Dak apologists. So
That would be your boy.
we'll discuss a little Dak here because I'm a Dak fan too, but I keep it real about Dak. I mean, I'm a big Dak fan. I'm looking for big Dak energy this year. We want that. We want BDE.
I think it's coming.
Yeah, we hopefully it's coming, but
It better.
if we get little Dak energy, then
it's going to be a long time
it's
on
hard
these
to
aurwaves.
pull out some Blue Chew from
There
Hard.
it is. Hey, holla back.
All right, you can hit us up via Twitter
Skillful.
as well. Hard said Hardball Hard in the Twitterverse. I'm at Rod Davis. My man Patrick Davis at It's Patrick Davis. Okay. I brought up the fact that I don't believe it's in Dak's football character that he's going to be turnover prone again. Usually, Dak is low risk, high reward quarterback. This year, high risk, high reward quarterback, but I don't think that is going to continue. I don't think that regression continues this year, but it could. And if it does, then we got a bigger problem. But here's the stats to back it up. Like I told you guys, I give you the truth, but I give you the numbers to back it up too. I'll give you my opinion sometimes, but I'll give you the truth based on the numbers. Dak's career interception rate is tied for 8th among active quarterbacks, and 2 of those guys aren't even full-time quarterbacks. So if you want to take full-time starters, then it would be tied for 6th among those. But he's tied with Burrow and is better than Josh Allen in terms of his interception rate. And prior to this past season, his interception rate coming into 2022 was 1.7%, which was 3rd among full-time starters. Only Mahomes and Rodgers were better.
Yeah.
So going into the season, he based on full-time starting quarterbacks, only Mahomes and Rodgers had better interception rates among starting quarterbacks. And that was his career interception rate, guys, was tied for 8th. And like I said, that was among all quarterbacks, 6th among starters. But going into the season, only Mahomes and Rodgers were better at taking care of the football as passers.
Right.
Guys, don't believe that BS hype somebody's out there pushing. That is anti-Dak propaganda. That's
They
crazy.
need to go look at Josh Allen's numbers, too. Josh Allen turns the ball over just as much as Dak Prescott, maybe even more.
Well,
I think the fact is their record is different, and they also look to hate on Dak.
And we saw
Period.
Josh Allen was was very turnover prone.
Yes.
Dayball got him to clean it up a little bit, and this year he's returned back to a little bit more turnover prone.
He did.
But the anomaly for him was pretty much the 2 years where he turned it down, where Dak, the anomaly is the year where he went up.
Yep. That's a great
very,
point.
Very fair.
And, yeah, because how about this? Okay, so a couple of numbers before we move on to DeAndre Hopkins here. If you go look at Dak, here's the number that's Dan Orlovsky threw this out there. A lot of people are bringing this up when they are criticizing Dak. Started 33 regular season games in the last 3 seasons, and in those 33 starts, he's thrown 29 interceptions. But as you pointed out, Harge, the numbers for Josh Allen are almost identical.
Identical.
But actually, Josh Allen has more fumbles.
Yes. So
associated
add
with
that,
turnovers.
too.
Yeah, you're talking about interceptions here.
Yes.
He's got more fumbles on top of the interceptions. And how about this? If you go look at, because this was on NFL on ESPN, I saw this number, and then people started talking about Dak, because Dak is a very polarizing topic. Most turnovers in one-score games over the past 3 years. Josh Allen has 36. Justin Herbert has 30. Derek Carr has 29, and Dak Prescott has 28. But I went deeper into the numbers.
Come on.
If you go deep into the numbers, if you they basically those 4 quarterbacks, they also rank 2nd for Josh Allen, 4th for Justin Herbert, 5th for Carr, and 16th for Dak in dropbacks in one-score games. So Dak has way fewer dropbacks in one-score games than Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, and Derek Carr. They're 2nd, 4th, and 5th. He's 16th in dropbacks in one-score games. And if you go look at it, if you go look at turnover rate in those games, Josh Allen 23rd, Justin Herbert 21st, Derek Carr 15th, and Dak 2nd. So my man John Madani always told me, listen, stats are like a bikini. You can, they'll show you a lot. They don't show you everything.
They do not
They don't
show you everything.
And then really, we know you can get, as a numbers guy can tell you can get numbers to say pretty much everything you want them to say. I don't do that. I don't like to manipulate numbers like that. I like to give it to you raw.
But the tax people do.
Yeah, exactly.
The tax people know how to manipulate the numbers.
In politics.
Yes, exactly.
Right, with politics and different surveys and the polls, they like to manipulate numbers. I don't do that. We just give it to you raw. And I go with the numbers taking me. I'm like an investigator on Law and Order. I just go where the evidence takes me.
Yep.
And then I
saw that trail that was right there, so I decided to follow it.
I never come up with a take and then go find the information for it. I go rabbit holing, find the information and the data, and then the take comes off the data that I found.
Right.
And I think some people have the other way. They come up with a take and go, all right, I got to find some numbers to back up my take. I never do that. Never done it. That's why I got all these damn papers everywhere. I got to do so much research to come up with the take.
He does have a lot of papers, guys.
Yeah, so my point is, Dak, don't believe the hype. Dak is not turnover prone. He's not high risk, high reward. Is he elite? That's a different discussion.
That's a totally different discussion.
I'm not having that discussion because I don't know. But I like Dak, and I'm a Dak fan. Okay, let's get to DeAndre Hopkins here, gentlemen, because DeAndre Hopkins has been released by the Arizona Cardinals, and now the topic of conversation has turned into where will DeAndre Hopkins end up? Who's going to be in DeAndre Hopkins sweepstakes? I did see some odds that continue to have Kansas City tied with Baltimore with the best odds to acquire one DeAndre Hopkins. And remember, we would discuss this in the 4 o'clock hour, and I said my two top teams were Kansas City and Baltimore if I'm DeAndre Hopkins. That's not obviously crazy because Kansas City, who wouldn't want to go play at Kansas City? Yep. But Baltimore, I think Baltimore's rising, gentlemen, as a fast contender in the DeAndre Hopkins sweepstakes. He did name Lamar Jackson among one of the 5 quarterbacks he would like to play with or have throwing footballs to him, along with, it was Jalen Hurts on that list as well. It was Patrick Mahomes on that list. The guy from San Diego, he was talking about Justin Herbert.
Yep.
And who was the first one? Josh Allen.
Josh Allen
was the first one. Thank you. Yeah.
Which is another reason why we're all sitting here saying he ain't going there because it's too cold. But he might go out there and do it because, again, you want to be part of a winner. You have been on teams that have lost a lot of football games. You're later in your career. You now want to go and get your victories in the playoffs, and you want to be an integral part of it. So when you look at the other numbers, and he put Jalen Hurts on that list, but Jalen Hurts, the Philadelphia Eagles are plus 2,000. Cowboys are plus 2,500, so they're not that far behind them.
That's true.
And you look at Detroit, I know a lot of people are looking at Detroit. They're plus 1,500.
Yeah, I watched Detroit.
And that's a team that is in a great position to where you guys were talking about the fact that it's an indoor facility.
That's true.
You will be able to play. There's no Aaron Rodgers in that division this year. You're going up against Chicago and Minnesota with Kirk Cousins, but you got yourself an opportunity to play with a quarterback that put up huge numbers last year. You got Jamar Gibbs, and you got another wide receiver in Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's a star.
Yeah, it's a good point. No, I'm with you. I like the Detroit pick, too. And I'm looking at this I'm just looking at random websites.
Yeah,
Points Bet USA. They got the Chiefs and the Bills tied for the best odds at plus 300. Then they got the Jets.
Yeah.
I did not think about the Jets.
Huh?
It's the Aaron Rodgers. Hey, can you go get another toy for me? I need another toy.
And they would do it.
They would
again want to win,
but I think they fall into the Baltimore. Hey, we've already got you. Once we've got you, this whole game we're playing of how much do we want to appease you? Like, we already have wide receivers. We've got plenty.
They do. Now, the Jets actually do have talent.
We've got guys, and we brought in 2 of your guys. We've already given you Allen Lazard and Randall Cobb, who we know is not going to play a lot, but they brought him in.
Mm-hmm.
So we've already brought in 2 of your guys. Look, if he was willing to come in for $10 million, of course we'd sign him. But I don't want to put $25 million on my cap for another guy and slow the regression of our young wide receivers because you just want to play with older guys, even though we have amazing young wide receivers.
We don't know what the price tag is going to be just yet.
Big, huge question.
That's going to be the
I doubt
major
he's taking
part
the
about
veteran
it.
minimum, though. So to Patrick's point, I don't know what it'll be. I mean, is he going to demand? Because if he wants to win championships, then he's got to give a discount.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just watched Odell Beckham Jr. get paid, what, 15 mil with a possibility of 18 mil?
Yeah.
And, guys, I think we all agree they overpaid. I mean, that was a ridiculous overpayment for Odell Beckham Jr. And maybe he's looking at that deal and going, well, if Odell Beckham gets 18, guys, I gotta be. Come on, I gotta get 18. I gotta get 18.
And his agent is going to say, hey, you can't set the market back because if you do this, that means every wide receiver 30 and plus now has to play for $2 million or $3 million.
But he just got the money though. That's
He
the
did.
other part of
I
it,
know,
too.
but we talk about precedents in the league.
Yeah.
And if you talk about it, then they'll go, well, DeAndre Hopkins, you're not a team player unless you take less.
You can get away with it with a 1 year mercenary deal.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Now, if
It's gotta be a
3-year
1
deal,
year.
If it's a 1 year deal,
Yes.
we've seen players give discounts for 1 year deals because the assumption is, I want to win a Super Bowl. I'm doing it for this 1 year. I'll give you a discount. If he does sign a longer deal, yes, then that does apply because we saw Patrick Mahomes. We heard Patrick Mahomes bring it up yesterday. He's like, hey, I don't want to be the highest paid, but I got to be competitive.
Yeah, exactly.
If I'm not, I'm hurting all of my other teammates and peers. I'm hurting their value as well. That's an old baseball logic.
Yes, that's the same thing Patrick Mahomes said.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like, it's
and
the
your
same
agent,
thing.
your agent will tell you this, and the fact that they're like, dude, I'm trying to get money for my other guys, and if I
And
take
I'm trying
less,
to get
so
money
I'm going
for
to lose
me.
money. Well, yeah, but it's like I'm going to lose
Percentage.
money.
That's real.
I'm going to lose money on their money because you're doing this. So I'm going to lose money not only from you not getting a commission, but then their commissions go down because you're lowering the market again. And we just got the wide receiver market super hot, and owners are really trying to cool it down right now. And if you continue that slide of, hey, you can get good value for guys, then we're going to shut down that money, and I want my money.
I don't agree with that, but I remember saying on this show that I think inflation had hit the wide receiver market, and I was waiting to when the bubble would burst. Maybe the bubble's ready to burst.
Yep.
Yeah,
Maybe
because
this is the bubble
they
bursting.
died it went down a lot this offseason.
It did because even the Cowboys, I think, contributed to that with the Brandon Cooks deal. They got Brandon Cooks for pennies, for really, really cheap, considering how much the Texans were paying for him. But yeah, so the Chiefs and the Bills, my two favorite teams for him to go to. My favorite team for him to go to would be the Ravens. Because I like the Ravens. I think the Ravens have started. Listen, the Ravens were a team at one point that spent the fewest salary cap dollars on offense the last 4 years in the NFL. Second fewest salary cap dollars on the wide receiver position when Lamar Jackson was their starting quarterback. Now they've shifted that dynamic just a little bit. Looks like there's a changing the tide happening there. It looks like now they're starting to embrace maybe spending some more capital on the offense side of the ball, whether it's draft capital with Zay Flowers or that salary cap, whether that's free agency capital with their salary cap. They went out and got or Nelson Aguilar. They went out and got OBJ, of course. And they've went out and drafted wide receivers like Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman early on in the draft. So I wouldn't doubt if Lamar Jackson, who was mentioned by DeAndre Hopkins, is out there, whispering behind the scenes saying, man, go get me DeAndre Hopkins. You have a new coach who's going to be the offensive coordinator calling the plays there with Todd Monken. And Todd Monken's offenses, guys, they are prolific passing offenses. Think about this. Todd Monken, last time he called plays in the NFL, his team averaged 320 passing yards per game. And they platooned two quarterbacks. They were platooning Ryan Fitzpatrick and Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
For perspective, that 320.3 passing yards per game for Todd Monken's offense, the last time he called plays in the NFL, fifth most in history. They gonna chunk it. Even Lamar Jackson said, we are going to run it less and throw it more. We can only get so far running the ball. I'm telling you.
And I love our new coach. He's going to give me the option to go up there and change plays.
And
he's ready to go.
He did. He said he's going to give me freedom to the offense is my offense. Yep. And I would, if I'm Lamar Jackson, I would campaign for trying to get DeAndre Hopkins.
Let me throw this name out just because he's one of the names that he mentioned and we have not talked about it as a possibility because they already have two great wide receivers.
1,000-yard wide receivers.
But what if the Eagles try and get him? What if the Eagles go out and he says, man, I like Jalen Hurts. I like this team. I just want to win a ring. I'm going to take a 1-year mercenary deal, come in, play for $5 million, go go be the third wide receiver on this Eagles.
Come on, man.
No.
I don't need that.
That's wow.
I don't need
I'm just
it.
saying,
But
it's
it
one
would,
of the names
Howie
he listed at
Roseman is
quarterbacks.
one of the guys.
I agree.
Hey, so if we're mentioning quarterbacks, he liked Jalen Hurts. That was his number 3, I think.
It was.
Yeah.
He goes all, and Howie Roseman goes all in.
Howie
he has done that.
Roseman is not afraid.
He's done that multiple times as a GM of the Eagles, just going all in for the hell of it.
Yeah.
And it works out more often times than not. I didn't bring that up because I thought it was unrealistic because they do have 2,000-yard wide receivers. But, man, that happens. That would be a similar cheat code to him going to Kansas City. And, yes, the NFL should be afraid, very afraid, if he ends up with one of those two teams.
Oh, my goodness.
Everybody else, you have a shot. He goes to Buffalo, you still got a shot. That's not going to make them indefensible. He goes to the Ravens. That's not going to make them unstoppable. You know what I mean? The rest of the NFL has a shot. He goes to Kansas City, or if he goes to Philadelphia, the rest of the NFL's got no shot. It's done deal. I'm picking whoever he goes to. One of those teams to win the Super Bowl.
One of those teams, go ahead and start putting your money down, right?
Done deal, man.
What if he goes to Jacksonville? How do you feel about them?
Patrick brought them up earlier. That's nasty, man.
I mean, they're plus 3,500. Value-wise, that is the best value on the board I would look at. Because they just picked up Ridley. They got him. They got Christian Kirk, who started the party for the wide receiver market. And they got Zay Jones that has stepped up and played well. He would add another big piece for them in that success.
That's true.
Yeah, and it also is one of those things where you pull him in and you can play and maybe trade one of those wide receivers as well. Take them in a trade market
that's not a bad idea.
And say, hey, man, we need to find a piece on defense or something like that. Try and swap them out and get a piece that you need more. That's a possibility, especially on a Christian Kirk or Zay Jones, who had a really good season, but you're not sure they're going to have 2 or 3 or 4 more really good seasons.
That's a great point about
you say, hey, man, we got them at their high point. Their value's really high right now. If we can move one of them, then we'll move them. Then we got Ridley and Hopkins and the other one, and that's 3 wide receivers.
Yep.
That's a good point. And people don't do it in the NFL often, but you can trade a wide receiver to make room, right, for salary cap room for the wide receiver position. You also can trade for cash consideration. You just need we need some cash, man. You know what I mean?
We need a little bit of money,
this guy coming in wants a lot of cash, and we're going cash over cap. Can you trade
So
for
we
some
letting
cash?
it go. Yeah.
And we didn't get it. So you're right. They can make it work, and that would be a scary proposition, too, if he ends up with Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Could be dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, there are probably 6 teams where he could be extremely dangerous and lethal. There are 2 teams where that's all she wrote. The fat lady has sung. If he goes to Kansas City or Philadelphia, they're going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They're going anyway. They might be going anyway, but.
What about 49ers? They're on that list. They're a team that if he goes in there, now you have Deebo Samuel runs as the thing. You now have an actual number one, like just a guy who's out there who's just playing wide receiver for you. I'm just throwing it out as a team where it's like if you want to win, they're a realistic chance to. They compete every year.
Yeah, but this is my thing. It's a good point, though. You're right about that. Here's why I would, if I'm DeAndre Hopkins, I would, or at least if I was advising him, I should say, I would advise against that.
Yeah.
And maybe if you're DeAndre Hopkins, you probably don't want to do that. This is a guy that's played with mediocre to average quarterbacks his entire career. And I'm not saying he's going to encounter that with the 49ers because they got Sam Darnold and they got Trey Lance. We don't know what the hell Trey Lance is. And they got Brock Purdy. And Brock Purdy looked really good last year as Mr. Irrelevant. But this is a guy that early on in his career, first 5 years, played with Matt Schaub, Case Keenum, Ryan Mallett, Ryan Fitzpatrick, T.J. Yates, Brandon Whedon, Brian Hoyer, Tom Savage, and A.J. McCarron. And when he finally got to play with an all-pro quarterback and he made 4 straight Pro Bowls and 3 straight All Pros, and then that guy ends up. We all know how that worked out. End up being it ends up being allegations against him from sexual misconduct. Is the best way I can say it. But those allegations obviously turned into civil charges, a civil lawsuit against him, but no criminal charges at all. So. And now he went to Kyler Murray, who is a little immature for a franchise quarterback. So we've heard stories about that.
He had to trade for Marquise Brown, who was his buddy.
Yeah, I just think he's going to avoid playing with any team that has quarterback instability.
I could go.
That's what he said. He said that. He said, I want to be with a team with a quarterback that is willing to bring people in, not keep them out.
Yeah.
Focused on it. Front office that is really into winning. That is the move for him.
And the 49ers are that front
That's
office.
What I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the quarterback, what's the big issue with the 49ers? Why haven't they won a Super Bowl with Shano there? Quarterback instability.
Yeah.
He likes bad quarterbacks. He's got a bad picker. I love the guy. but he loves bad quarterbacks. He wants a project. He's like a woman that likes D-bags and A-holes. And we all know that woman.
And last year, he had it because he had a good quarterback playing, and then
And one we all thought was bad.
Yeah.
Because it's Mr. Irrelevant. Like, he loves bad quarterbacks. He just does.
I know. He signed Sam Darnold and then said he was doing really well.
Yes, he
And we're
did.
like, oh.
He did.
That's my new quarterback.
I like you, man, but come on.
I recently heard him say, he said, we got 2 top 5 picks on our roster at quarterback, and Brock Purdy, he was one of the best quarterbacks at the end of the season. And I was like, that's how he thinks.
Yep.
That is how he thinks.
Yep.
That is why the 49ers are where they are now. Top 5 quarterbacks. It's Sam Darnold. He's not top 5. No, that's where he was drafted. That's not what he is.
Oh, we're going to sign Baker, too. We've got 3 top 5 quarterbacks.
Very true.
Like, what are you talking
Yeah,
about?
the Carolina Panthers had 2 top 5 quarterbacks last year.
Thank you.
They did.
Exactly.
And they had the number 1, and they trade up for the number 1 overall pick.
Come on. That is just, I cannot believe that delusion. He said it too, and I was like, he believes it. It's not a lie if you believe it, Shano.
He did say Trey Lance's finger's healed now so he can throw a football right.
I know. And he did say, I think Brock Purdy's expected to be ahead of schedule. Oh,
Yeah.
man. Like I said, you're right, though. DeAndre Hopkins goes there. I think they probably would go to a Super Bowl. He would put them
Because
over the
that
top.
weapons of
Yes.
Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, and DeAndre Hopkins is a ridiculous amount of weapons.
It is. And he can, like I said, if he can make Matt Schaub look good, he can make any other quarterback look good.
He doesn't miss.
He
You
spanks.
put the ball in the area, he's catching it. That's
And I mean
who he
that's also I forgot George Kittle. We have to throw him in that
I know.
weapons thing.
And
I don't
This
Exactly.
happens to be a part of that.
Yeah, no, it would. Like I said, they would. That's a third team I'll put on that list. In Patrick, that if he goes there, they'd go to Super Bowl. I don't expect him to go there.
No.
But if he did, they'd go to Super Bowl. If he goes to Dallas, would that make them an instant Super Bowl
I
favorite?
don't know because they already have two good wide receivers, and you have Michael Gallup who should be a really good third wide receiver. I don't know if you add that weapon in, it fixes the problem of where you're at running back.
Yeah, they got.
Which I think that for me is the biggest hole of, okay, that's where you need to step up for the Cowboys. So just adding another piece somewhere else on a team also that says they want you to run the ball more.
without a bell cow.
Without a
running
bell,
back.
Without
yeah.
a bell cut, but you want to run
That's
the ball
where I'm
more,
like,
and then you're
what?
like, all right, well, now I have 4 wide receivers. I got to get multiple targets a game.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
So that's the reason why it just doesn't make sense.
And going
after you
back
get
to the
cooked.
fact of what you said about the free agency, Cowboys don't do that.
They don't like that.
They don't like that where they're going to be put into this crazy situation financially, but because of the fact that they just ate majority of that contract and you can come in for a 1-year deal, see if this is the team that's going to run. Because in reality, you're the only team that you can for sure say that you believe is going to be there, Kansas City.
Yeah, agreed.
That's it. Anything else is crazy.
Yeah.
You know,
You don't
but
know.
Kansas City, stable.
They gonna be there.
You know what the situation is going to be. So if I'm him and it comes down to
That's where you going?
I want to be on a winner, I want to have a lot of fun every single week,
Yep.
I'm going there because
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes will get you the ball.
I'm with you. I don't even know why we're discussing these other teams. You're DeAndre Hopkins, and you got a chance to sign a 1-year mercenary deal.
Right.
Why the hell would you go anywhere else other than Kansas City? Best offensive mind in the game is Andy Reid. Best head coach in the game right now is Andy Reid. Best quarterback in the game right now is Patrick Mahomes. The second or third best GM in the game, Brett Veach.
Yes.
Why the hell else would you go any? What are you doing, DeAndre Hopkins?
And you already
I like
know.
we're yelling at him for a thing that he hasn't done yet. What are you thinking? He's like, I got released today, guys.
Thought you would already had that bag lined up.
Seriously, man.
Yeah.
What you waiting on?
What you waiting on?
What are you
This-
examining?
They having OTAs right now. Go get you a bag.
We just gave you the reasons.
Exactly.
I'll give you a crazy Patrick Mahomes stat before we go to break here because I was doing the research on Patrick Mahomes. It's just fun to do research on Patrick Mahomes because the stats are crazy. I'll give you one that nobody's really shared that is nuts. And I didn't think it was true. I had to go deep diving. Patrick Mahomes has the highest career passer rating in the regular season at 105.7. Patrick Mahomes also has the highest career playoff passer rating at 107.4. His playoff passer rating is higher than his regular season passer rating.
Because you know why? What'd you ask for? What do you do exceptional? All I do is win.
What the
That's
hell
what
is
it
that?
is. I find ways to win.
By the way, both of those are NFL records. So his passer rating, career passer rating in the playoffs is higher than his career passer rating in the regular season. Both of them are NFL records, and he's first in both.
Mm-hmm.
What?
That is why he is the greatest.
What?
That is why he is cold-blooded
I have
like
to
that.
check that stat. Like, what? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll wrap this up by saying, fans in Phoenix right now, we apologize that all of your sports teams are crumbling.
Bad.
Oh,
The Suns.
I have a friend on
Diamondbacks are
Facebook,
terrible.
and I saw them post, and I was like, yeah, that is not a fun time right now. Diamondbacks had to cut Madison Bumgarner.
wow.
The Suns have fired their coach that everybody liked, and
Yeah.
they don't know what they're going to do after they get blown out by Denver. And now you're like, hey, we just had to cut one of the best receivers.
Hey, you know what? Hey, as a Houston sports fan, I don't know. We've been there.
We've been there.
We've been
Yep.
there. So I feel bad for y'all, but there are
Welcome to my trouble.
right? There are brighter days ahead, I promise you. But I get it, man. I remember those days. All right, let's get to the break here. We got Texans OTA updates and Cowboys OTA updates on the other side, right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. 512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie. That's when Patrick takes jams from local bands and artists, very talented human beings, and plays those jams for us and gives us also an opportunity to see these very talented people live and in person here in the ATX. Who are we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is the Sugar Trio, and they are playing Saturday at the Continental Club Gallery.
Oh, the Sugar Trio. I'm sure there's a story behind that name.
I'm sure there is. That's part of your documentary.
Yeah, See what I'm saying? And also, we're in the perfect time for this documentary to figure out the genesis and origin of band names.
Yeah.
You ain't got to go. We ain't going deep. 90 seconds every band, quick, fast. Tell us the origin of the band name. Boom. Then you do about, 40, 50 bands, and you can have different series like part 1, part 2, part 3.
Oh, you got to find out real quick. People in Austin get some long-winded. You
I
said
know.
now,
That's
you got like 90
concern.
seconds. They do it, and they go, all right, let me tell you. So when I was growing up, right? And you're like, oh, no, we're done. We're already out.
Yeah.
You're right.
I agree 100%
A lot
on
of
that.
editing would have to be done for that one.
When I was 2.
You're like, oh, how old are you now? 60.
So you thought this band name when you were 2? No, I thought it when I was 38, but I was starting at 2.
Exactly. That's where the inspiration started.
That's why the inspiration started. That I saw a guitar, right? Cut to 2.5.
No, you're right about that, but still think it'd be a decent idea for a doc. But anyway, let's get to the OTA updates here, gentlemen. We talked about this earlier, but quick. Oh, I got 2 updates about the Texans, actually. You know who's working out with Davis Mills? Arch Manning.
Yeah.
I saw that today. I don't know if that's good. Is that good for Arch?
Yeah, hey, let's hey, can we come on?
He's
guys.
got some time.
Why is he working out with Davis Mills of all people?
Maybe it's the quarterback.
It's the quarterback coach, but still.
That's Davis Mills just happens to be that quarterback coach.
I don't like it.
I'm sure that there's some connection to the Manning camp or something like that where they know each other.
Yeah, David Morris is the founder of Quarterback Country, and he is a quarterback trainer for Davis Mills, and I guess for Arch Manning, because Arch Manning was working out with him and Davis Mills. It was said, because they got a picture of him hanging out. It's so weird. I just never thought. I know the Manning family, the first family of football, they work out with pros all the time, but man, Davis Mills.
Yeah.
This is going to do more for Davis Mills than it do for Arch Manning, in my opinion.
This is like Bijan's with Micah Parsons. You're like, oh, man, all right. 2 of the best. He's with Davis Mills. Like, all right. Okay.
Why is he with him? Why is he with
You can
him?
learn what not to do.
Exactly. There you go. It's like, do the opposite of whatever you see Davis Mills does there.
You feel better about your neck.
Oh, man. I
He
know
definitely gets some neck
and
work.
you see it on that photo. Again, the neck is there. I mean,
I'm like, wow.
Hard. I can't believe you didn't know Davis Mills had an unusually long neck.
I don't watch a lot of the Texans games, and most of the time he's laying on the ground, so I don't get to know exactly what's going on. But that is,
it looks fake.
It does.
Every picture,
it looks like a cartoon character.
Yes, it looks like it was something that was done, photoshopped or something. It even on this photo, it's
like
long.
when you were young
Let
and
me
you drew something. My daughter drew his neck, and it just happened to be that long.
All right. How many times do you think he's walked into a locker room and someone has played Wu-Tang Clan? Protects your neck. How many times?
Oh, it's just automatic. It's like anytime. That'll be my ringtone when he called me. Oh, that's Davis Mills.
Wow, that's neck. I'm sure that there's some great jokes around there about Davis Mills.
Oh, I'm
neck.
sure.
Okay, another quick quarterback nugget here from the Texans and their training camp. John Crumpler, he does a great job as a beat reporter for the Texans. He claims that C.J. Stroud, this is prior to today, so maybe today that changed. C.J. Stroud was the only first-round quarterback that hadn't taken snaps with the ones yet. So snaps with the 2s, all 2s in the OTAs. He didn't even split snaps with the 1s at all. When you look at Shane Steichen and what they're doing with Anthony and what he's done, him and
Anthony Richardson,
Gardner Minshew, I believe, and Anthony Richardson, they've split some reps. Of course, we know Bryce Young has split some reps with the first team too. So it just talks about how Shane Steichen and Frank Reich have different, just kind of different process when it comes to how they want their quarterbacks to earn that spot or be prepared for the top spot.
Yeah.
So I just think he's a defensive coach. Those other 2 guys are offensive coaches. So they probably have a different theory about how to build a team around their quarterbacks and the system around their quarterbacks, as opposed to DeMeco Ryans, who's a defensive guy who probably is building his culture and constructing his roster around principles, core principles, rather than a player. And I'm not opposed to that at all.
No, I'm definitely fine with that. And to your point, when you're a defensive-minded coach and you're looking at the offensive side of the ball, you want to make sure I got the right guy that's not going to turn the ball over. I got a new guy. I want to win. And if my new guy, I can develop him as we go along, but I'm not finna put him out there right now until he shows me that it is his to take. But he also may put him in. I'm from the show me state. Go out there and work, and I'll put you right in there. I have no problem to it.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it.
Not yet, anyway.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Right now, there's no urgency to put him in there. Let him work with the twos, and I'm with you. Let him kind of earn every step of it, and I think that's what DeMeco Ryans is going to try to do. That's what he said, actually. He said, I'm not going to just give award anybody a position. You have to earn it. All right, real quick, Cowboys, Nuggets, first-team offensive line they had out there were Tyron Smith, Josh Ball at right guard. Right tackle was Tyron Smith. Right guard was Josh Ball. Tyler Biadasz at center. Matthew Forniak at left guard, and left tackle was Tyler Smith. Remember Zach Martin? He did not practice because he's Zach Martin. OTAs.
Right.
And also DeMarcus Ware helping pass rushers with pass rushing drills. He was out there with the Cowboys at OTAs as well. And Kelvin Joseph getting snaps at nickel and at safety now instead of corner. They're trying to find a new way to repurpose Kelvin Joseph because they've been disappointed with his play at corner so far.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that because they made that investment in him and they're trying anything possible. If Dan Quinn can have miracles happen, that will be the play. Because if you look at what he's been able to do and what he hasn't been able to do with his opportunities, that is where you're going to look at him and say, man, this might be your last shot. We're going to move you to the nickel. Hopefully you give me something there. We're going to make you work at safety. Hopefully you give me something there because you did have a chance to go play corner. You didn't look well.
No.
You did have a chance to go play special teams. Didn't look great. So now you have to figure out what can I do to help this team. And with these new rules where they're trying to change special teams, you are now becoming limited as well.
That's true.
You're going to replace that with what? Another lineman, possibly? Another linebacker, possibly? There's something that you could try to figure out. So he's got to show something in OTAs and, of course, training camp.
The texter here, we'll end it on this note. Texter, in regards to our conversation about Davis Mills and his very unusually long neck. Texter says, it's like Merton Hanks made it with a giraffe to make Davis Mills.
Yeah.
I forgot Merton Hanks did have a really long neck.
Real long neck. He would always shake it for you.
It was like a celebration of his.
Oh, my goodness.
He would do, what would he call that dance? It was something weird.
Patrick, break your neck?
No, it was not. There was a name for it. When we come back, I'll find the name of the Merton Hanks celebration, and we'll wrap this thing up and put it in the oven right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Time to wrap it up and put it in the oven. If you missed any part of any of the shows, please go to hornfm.com and you can catch up with them on the podcast page. What's on tap for you, Harge?
Got a road trip. Got
Road trip.
basketball games again this weekend. Suns playing basketball, but I definitely will be watching the Heat and the Celtics this weekend.
Game 6. Well, be safe on that road, man.
I will.
And good luck.
Appreciate it.
Good luck and everything happening this weekend. What you got on tap, Patrick? this
Oh,
weekend?
we're gonna watch some basketball. We're gonna enjoy the Memorial Day weekend, hanging out in the backyard, get the pool ready, have a good old time, cooking out.
Oh, it's gonna be great. Yeah, I'm cooking. We're gonna barbecue a little bit this weekend.
Nice.
Definitely though.
I'm gonna come walk Lou by and just hop over the fence. I smell something. I smell something cooking.
You and Lou are invited. You smell it. Come on through.
That's right.
Also, take some time to remember those who paid the ultimate
Absolutely.
price, so that we can have the freedom in the greatest country that the world's ever known. All right. Remember, the revolution will not be televised. We're talking about it right here on Ball Don't Lie. We love you guys. We mean that. Take care of yourselves, and more importantly, take care of each other. Happy Memorial Day weekend.